What if your life, with all of its triumphs and its tragedies, was not a random series of events happening to you, but a reality flowing from you, being woven into existence by the very act of your attention? What if the simple act of watching your world was in fact the sacred act of creating it? We so often live as passive spectators in the grand theater of our own lives, feeling powerless against the winds of circumstance, subject to the whims of the economy, the demands of a job, or the actions of others. We are taught to believe that reality is a solid, objective thing, a fixed stage that exists entirely separate from us. And on this stage, we are merely players reciting lines we did not write. This philosophy, while common, it makes us feel like victims of fate, adrift in a universe that is indifferent to our deepest desires. But a revolutionary idea, an idea whispered in ancient mystical texts for millennia and now being echoed in the strange, sterile halls of quantum laboratories, suggests something far more profound, far more empowering. This idea is known as the observer effect, and it proposes that our consciousness is not a passive mirror reflecting the world, but an active participant in shaping it. It suggests that at the most fundamental level, reality is a field of infinite potential, a sea of shimmering possibilities, awaiting a conscious observer to call it forth into definite form. In the journey that lies before us, we will dive deep into this paradigm-shifting concept, not through complex physics, but through the accessible wisdom of the most powerful audiobooks on self-development, the law of attraction, and the timeless messages of the universe. We will learn how to shift our role from that of a passive viewer to a conscious observer, and ultimately, to embrace our true nature as the empowered creator of our own experience, to truly grasp the power you hold, the creative authority that resides within you. We must begin at the frontier of human knowledge, in a place where science and mysticism gaze at each other in a shared, astonished silence. This place is the realm of quantum physics, and at its heart lies a puzzle so profound it has baffled the world's greatest minds for a century. It is called the observer effect, and understanding it, not as a scientist but as a philosopher, as a seeker, is the first step to unlocking your ability to consciously create your reality. This isn't a dry academic lesson. It is a journey into the very nature of existence, a journey that reveals the universe is not a vast, empty machine, but a dynamic, intelligent, and responsive mirror, reflecting the face of the one who is looking. Let us enter the laboratory of the mind and recreate the most famous experiment in all of science, the double-slit experiment. The setup is simple. Imagine a wall with two vertical slits in it. Behind this wall is a screen, a backdrop that will record where things land. Now, if you were to fire a stream of tiny, solid objects, like marbles or pellets, at this wall, the outcome would be completely predictable. Some marbles would be blocked, while others would pass through one of the two slits, creating two distinct bands on the screen behind them. A clear pattern that says something solid passed through here and here. This is the world of classical mechanics, the predictable, solid world we think we live in. But when scientists decided to run this same experiment with the fundamental building blocks of our reality, with electrons, the tiny particles that form the atoms, that form you and me and everything we see, reality began to behave in a way that defies all common sense. When they fired electrons one by one towards the two slits, without any device to track them, the pattern that emerged on the screen was not two bands. It was a complex, multi-banded pattern called an interference pattern. This pattern is the unmistakable signature of a wave, like one in water, can pass through both slits at the same time, interfering with itself to create crests and troughs, which results in this unique pattern. This was a shattering revelation. The electron, the supposed building block of solid matter, was not behaving like a particle at all. It was behaving like a wave of pure potential, a ghost in the machine, existing in a state of all possibilities at once, not choosing to go through the left slit or the right slit, but somehow going through both simultaneously. It existed not as a thing, but as a field of probability. This is where the mystery deepens into magic. The scientists, baffled by this, decided to get clever. They wanted to know, definitively, which slit the electron was going through. So, they placed a tiny measuring device, a miniature camera, right at the slits, a detector that would record the electron's path. It was an act of observation. They simply wanted to watch the moment they turned on the detector, the moment they decided to observe the electron's choice. The universe itself seemed to change its mind. The interference pattern, the signature of the wave, instantly vanished. In its place, on the screen, were two simple bands, exactly like the ones the marbles had made. The electron, because it knew it was being watched, stopped being a wave of all possibilities and behaved like a good little particle, choosing a single path and creating a single definite outcome. Let the weight of this sink in. The very outcome of a physical event was determined by whether or not it was being observed. The act of measurement, the act of looking, fundamentally altered the nature of reality, forcing a wave of infinite potential to collapse into a single, concrete experience. Matter itself seemed to wait for a cue from a conscious watcher to decide what to be and where to be. It is as if the universe held its breath, existing in a shimmering haze of what could be, until an observer turned its gaze upon it. And at that moment, it snapped to attention, chose a single destiny from an ocean of possibilities, and became real. This is the quantum mirror, and it is here, in this strange and beautiful paradox of science, that we find the most powerful metaphor for our own spiritual power. Let us now step out of the laboratory and into the landscape of our own consciousness. What the quantum physicist calls the quantum field or the wave function, the ancient spiritual traditions have for millennia called by other names: Spirit, the Akasha, the Tao, the Mind of God. Author and visionary Greg Braden, in his paradigm-shifting audiobook The Divine Matrix, describes this as an intelligent field of energy that connects everything. It is the container of the universe, the bridge between all things, and the mirror that shows us what we have created. This field, just like the wave in the double-slit experiment, holds every single possibility for your life. The potential for vibrant health and the potential for debilitating illness, the potential for profound love and the potential for heartbreaking loneliness, the potential for immense wealth and the potential for grinding poverty. Every possible future, every imaginable outcome, already exists as a shimmering, vibrating wave of probability in this infinite field. They are all real, as potentials. So, who is the observer in your life? You are. Your consciousness, your focused awareness, is the measuring device. It is the force that looks out upon this infinite field of potentials and commands one of them to become solid, to become your experience. When your mind is scattered, worried, and unfocused, jumping from fear to doubt to anger, you are sending chaotic, incoherent signals into the field. You are not a focused observer, and so your reality reflects that. It becomes a messy, unpredictable interference pattern of random events and circumstances you are creating by default. But when you learn to harness your attention, when you place your focused, feeling-filled awareness upon a single, desired outcome, you become the scientist in the experiment. You are aiming the detector of your consciousness. You are telling the universe, of all the things that could be, I am choosing to observe this. In that moment, you are collapsing the wave function. You are choosing one particle of experience from the quantum soup of potential. As the neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza brilliantly explains in his audio programs, when you practice meditation, you are learning to take your attention off your body, off your environment, and off your linear sense of time. You are deliberately pulling your consciousness out of your known reality and placing it into the quantum field, into that realm of pure potential. From this place, you are no longer observing your current life, which only recreates more of the same. Instead, you are observing a new life. You are observing the potential for wealth, for health, for love. And by placing your attention there, by feeling the emotions of that future reality now, you are signaling new genes in new ways. You are broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature. And you are commanding a new reality to emerge from the field and find you. This is why reality is not a solid, fixed block of stone. It is a fluid, dynamic, participatory event. It is a quantum soup of potential, waiting for you, the conscious observer, to dip your spoon in and choose the flavor of your experience. The universe is not punishing you with hardship or rewarding you with joy. It is simply, and without judgment, responding to the focus of your observation. It is a mirror, reflecting with perfect, impersonal accuracy the quality of your attention and the frequency of your feeling. What you choose to see, you get to have. What you consistently observe in your mind's eye, you will eventually hold in your hand. This discovery, born from the most advanced science, is the ultimate validation of the most ancient spiritual wisdom. It confirms that you are not a victim of your world. You are its co-creator. The observer and the observed are not separate. They are locked in a timeless, creative dance. But this raises a monumental question. If our observation is the trigger that creates reality, what is the force within us that directs our observation? Why do so many of us find ourselves consistently observing lack, sickness, and loneliness, even when we desperately want the opposite? What is the unseen architect drawing the blueprints that our attention then builds? The answer to that question lies buried deep within us, in the invisible architecture of our own minds, in the foundational power of belief. We have arrived at a profound understanding that the universe is not a static backdrop but a participatory field, a quantum mirror that solidifies into reality based on the simple act of our observation. But this revelation immediately presents a deeper, more personal question. If our attention is the catalyst that collapses potential into experience, what is it that directs our attention? Why does our gaze so often seem locked onto lack, onto fear, onto the very outcomes we insist we do not want? The answer is that our observation is not random. It is guided. It is controlled by an unseen force, a master architect who dwells in the silent depths of our consciousness, drawing the blueprints for our reality long before we consciously experience it. This architect is the system of our beliefs. A belief is not merely a thought you entertain. It is a conviction you inhabit. It is a declaration about the nature of reality that you have accepted as true, often without your conscious consent. And these beliefs function as the ultimate filtering system for your perception of the world. Imagine you are wearing a pair of sunglasses with dark, gray lenses. Everything you see will appear muted, gloomy, and slightly threatening. You wouldn't think the world itself is gray. You would know it is the lenses you are looking through. Beliefs are your invisible sunglasses. You are not seeing reality as it is. You are seeing it as your beliefs are. If you hold a core belief that the world is a dangerous place, your mind, in its effort to protect you and validate your worldview, will meticulously filter the billions of bits of sensory data you receive every second. It will highlight the news story about a crime. It will amplify the sound of a distant siren. It will interpret a stranger's neutral expression as hostile. It will build a case for you, presenting an edited, curated version of reality that perfectly matches your blueprint. Neuroscience gives us a name for one of the mechanisms behind this: the reticular activating system, or RAS. This network of nerve pathways in your brainstem acts as a gatekeeper for your consciousness. It's impossible to pay attention to everything at once. So the RAS decides what information is relevant enough to be brought to your conscious awareness. And what is its primary criterion for relevance? Your dominant beliefs and your current focus. This is why when you decide you want to buy a specific model of car, you suddenly start seeing that car everywhere. They haven't magically multiplied. Your RAS has simply been given a new command. This is now important. Pointed out in the exact same way. A person with the core belief, "I am not worthy of love," will have their RAS programmed to spot every hint of rejection, every sign of disinterest, every piece of evidence that confirms their unworthiness, while completely overlooking the signs of affection and admiration that may be right in front of them. Someone with the belief money is scarce and hard to get will see a world of closed doors, fierce competition, and economic downturns in the same city, on the same day. A person with the belief opportunities for abundance are everywhere will see a world of new ideas, potential collaborations, and flows of value. They are not in different worlds. They are using different blueprints. Their attention is being guided by a different architect. So where did we get these powerful, life-shaping blueprints? Most of them were not consciously chosen. They were installed during the first 7 years of our lives. Our brains operate predominantly in a low-frequency theta brainwave state. This is the state of hypnosis, of pure receptivity. As children, we are like open-source computers with no firewalls, downloading our fundamental operating system directly from our environment. The casual comments of our parents, the attitudes of our teachers, the stories we see on television, all bypass our critical faculty and are installed directly into our subconscious mind as truth. A father, stressed about bills, who repeatedly says money doesn't grow on trees, isn't just teaching a folksy idiom. He is installing a software program of financial limitation in his child. A mother who constantly fusses over her child's appearance may unintentionally install a belief that says my worth is tied to my external beauty. These programs become the foundation of our personality, the invisible scripts we live out for decades. Later in life, significant emotional events can forge new beliefs in an instant. A traumatic business failure can weld into our psyche the belief, I am a failure, or I can't be trusted with money. A painful romantic betrayal can create the searing belief that people always leave, or it is not safe to be vulnerable. The mind creates these beliefs as a form of protection, an attempt to make sense of the world and avoid future pain. But these beliefs, born of a past trauma, then become the very lens through which we observe our future, ironically attracting more situations that prove them right, trapping us in a self-fulfilling prophecy. We also absorb a constant stream of beliefs from our culture and society, mass media, advertising, and social norms whisper to us about what it means to be successful, to be beautiful, to be a good person. Beliefs like success requires endless struggle and sacrifice, or you must achieve a certain status to be happy, are so pervasive We don't even see them as beliefs. We mistake them for reality itself. The first step to freedom, the first act of the conscious creator, is to take the blueprints from this unconscious architect and bring them out into the light. You must identify the limiting beliefs that are shaping your reality. And the method is simple. Look at your life. Your external world is a perfect mirror of your internal beliefs. Where do you consistently struggle? Is it with money? With relationships? With your health? With your career? The area of your greatest struggle is the area where your most powerful limiting beliefs reside. Once you locate the struggle, you must give the belief a name. Articulate it. Write it down. I believe I am not good enough to earn a high income. I believe I am destined to be alone. I believe my body is weak and prone to illness. The simple act of defining the belief and observing it, without judgment, is profoundly powerful. You create a space between the observer, which is you, and the program, which is the belief. You begin to realize, this is not me. This is a recording from the past. This is not the truth. This is just a lens. This is the very heart of the teachings of the 20th century mystic and visionary Neville Goddard. In his powerful audio lectures and books, he taught a principle he called the law of assumption. Neville's revolutionary idea was that you do not need to fight your old beliefs or struggle to attract something new. You must simply, and with feeling, assume the belief that you want to be true. You decide what you want to experience, and then you construct, in your imagination, a scene which implies that you already have it. You then enter that scene, feel it as real, and live from that state of being. You are not asking. You are not hoping. You are assuming. You are giving the architect a brand new blueprint. Consider one of the classic stories often shared in his audiobooks. Of a woman who was desperate to sell her house, which had been on the market for a long time with no offers. Instead of focusing on the lack of buyers, the stagnant reality, Neville instructed her to assume the belief that the house was already sold. He told her, don't just visualize a for sale sign being replaced with a sold sign. Go deeper. What would the feeling be? What would you do? So, every night before sleep, she did not see the house. She imagined herself in her new apartment. She felt the new furniture. She looked out the new window. She felt the deep sense of relief and satisfaction of having successfully sold the house and moved on. She was no longer a person trying to sell a house. She was a person who had sold a house. She was observing her reality from a new belief. Within a short time, an offer came out of the blue, and the house was sold. The external world conforming perfectly to the blueprint she had consciously and persistently assumed as true. This is the power we all possess. Our beliefs are not etched in stone. They are written in sand, and we have the ability to smooth them over and write a new story. By understanding their origins, by courageously identifying the limiting programs we are running, and by consciously choosing to assume a new state of being, we reclaim our power. We take the pen from the hand of our childhood programming and our past traumas, and we become the conscious architect of our own destiny. We begin to draw a new blueprint, but a blueprint alone does not build a house. It is the guide for the daily work. So, if belief is the grand architectural plan for our life, what are the moment-to-moment tools we use to lay the bricks and mortar? What is the actual currency of this creative economy that is the energy of our thoughts and the laser-like beam of our focus? If the beliefs we hold are the silent architects of our reality, drawing the grand blueprint for the house of our life, then our thoughts are the tireless construction crew, and our focus is the foreman directing their every move, every single moment. You are spending a precious and powerful currency. It is not money. It is not time. It is the currency of your attention, And where you choose to invest this currency determines, with absolute certainty, the reality you will come to inhabit. This is because of a fundamental law of consciousness. A principle as reliable as gravity, energy flows where attention goes. Your thought is not a flimsy, ethereal wisp of nothingness that disappears after it is thought. Every single thought is a pulse of real energy, a tangible electrical and chemical event within your brain that radiates outward into the quantum field around you. To think is to create. The only question is whether you are creating consciously, by design, or unconsciously, by default. Consider the sheer volume of this creative process. Scientists estimate that the average person has tens of thousands of thoughts per day. For the vast majority of people, over 90% of these thoughts are the same ones they had the day before. And the day before that, they are an unconscious, repetitive loop playing in the background. A mental soundtrack of old worries, past grievances, future anxieties, and conditioned judgments. Imagine your mind as a powerful broadcasting station. With each of these repetitive, unconscious thoughts, you are sending out a signal. But because the thoughts are scattered, contradictory, and rooted in the past, the signal is chaotic and filled with static. You are broadcasting a frequency of more of the same, and the universe, as the perfect receiver, simply plays your broadcast back to you in the form of your life circumstances. You are hoping to hear a clear symphony of joy and abundance, but you are broadcasting static. And so static is what you experience. This is the reality of the unfocused mind. It is a creative force turned against itself, building a chaotic and unsatisfying world through the sheer neglect of its own power. Now, let us imagine a different approach. What happens when you shift from a scattered, unconscious stream of thought to a deliberate, disciplined focus? The difference is the difference between a common light bulb and a laser beam. A 100-watt light bulb can illuminate a room, but its energy is diffuse, spreading out in all directions. It is unfocused. A laser, however, can be generated with far less energy, but because that energy is coherent, aligned, and focused into a single, powerful beam, it can cut through steel. This is the power of your attention. When you learn to gather the scattered energy of your thoughts and direct it with intention toward a single point, a single desired outcome, you are no longer a light bulb. You are a laser. You are concentrating your creative power in a way that can shape the very fabric of reality. This focused attention is a discipline, but perhaps not in the way you might think. It is not about fighting your mind or forcefully suppressing unwanted thoughts. That is a battle you can never win. It is about gently but persistently choosing your subject. It is about deciding what gets the honor of your mental gaze. This is why it is so vitally important to become aware of what you are observing in your daily life. Because every act of observation is an investment of your creative currency. When you sit for an hour engrossed in sensationalized, fear-based news, you are not just being informed, you are a conscious creator focusing your powerful laser beam of attention on a reality of disaster, conflict, and crisis. You are, in effect, casting a vote for more of that to appear in the collective and personal field. When you engage in gossip, speaking about the misfortunes or faults of another, you are directing your creative energy toward a reality of judgment and separation. The universe doesn't hear the nuance. It doesn't have a don't button. When your dominant focus is on, I don't want to be in debt, the primary subject held in your mind, the energy you are broadcasting is the powerful signal of debt. You are observing your lack, and so the quantum mirror faithfully reflects more lack back to you. The conscious creator understands this. They become fiercely protective of their focus. They choose to withdraw their attention from the dramas and distractions that do not serve their vision and instead invest it, with quiet intention, on the reality they wish to bring forth. The Russian physicist and mystic Vadim Zeland, in his deeply esoteric and fascinating series of audiobooks known as Reality Transurfing, offers a unique and powerful model for understanding this process. Zeland posits the existence of what he calls the space of variations, an infinite information field where everything that has ever happened, will ever happen, or could ever happen is stored. This space contains an infinite number of parallel scenarios, or lifelines. There is a lifeline where you are vibrantly healthy and successful, and a lifeline where you are struggling and sick. They all exist simultaneously as potentials. According to Zeland, we do not create reality from scratch so much as we use our thoughts to choose and manifest a specific lifeline from this space of variations. The act of transurfing is the act of consciously sliding from one lifeline to another. How do we do this? We do it by controlling the broadcast of our thoughts. When you hold a consistent, clean, and focused thought form, you begin to tune your personal energy field to the frequency of a corresponding lifeline in the space of variations. You don't have to struggle, or push, or force reality to bend to your will. You simply attune yourself to your desired destination, and the winds of what Zeland calls outer intention begin to carry you there. The lifeline itself begins to move toward you. Doors open, synchronicities appear, and the right people and circumstances are drawn into your experience, not because you fought for them, but because you achieved a state of resonance with them. A key element of transurfing is the idea of reducing importance. When you desperately want something, when you place enormous importance on it, you create excess potential, a disturbance in the field that generates balancing forces that work against you. The trick is to have the intention, to hold the focus, but to release the desperate need. You calmly and consistently observe your destination, as if you are simply choosing a film to watch, and then allow yourself to slide effortlessly onto that track. This model, whether you take it literally or metaphorically, provides a profound insight. Your focused thought is a tuning fork, and the universe is an infinite orchestra waiting to play the song you select. The challenge, of course, is that our minds are often like wild animals, conditioned to roam and react. The discipline, then, is not one of force, but of gentle redirection. It is like training a puppy. When you find your mind has wandered off into a familiar field of worry or negativity, you do not beat the puppy. You acknowledge it, without judgment. There is the old story of lack again. And then you gently, lovingly, call it back. You place the leash of your awareness around it and guide your attention back to the thought of your desired reality, back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is not about achieving a perfectly silent mind. It is about developing the resilience to consistently, and with growing ease, return your focus to the blueprint you have chosen. So we see that our beliefs provide the master plan, but it is our moment-to-moment thoughts, guided by our focus, that do the actual work of construction. We are the foreman, and we are constantly directing our crew. Are we telling them to build a shack of fear and limitation, or a palace of joy and freedom? We are always spending our creative currency. Every waking moment. The path to mastery is simply to become a conscious spender, to invest our priceless attention only in the magnificent realities we truly wish to see built. Yet, even this is not the whole story, for even the most focused thought, the most disciplined beam of attention, is like a beautifully crafted arrow resting silently in a bow. It has perfect direction. It has immense potential, but on its own, it lacks the propulsive force to send it flying toward its target. What is the power that draws back the string of the bow and launches our intentions into the very heart of the creative field? That power, that kinetic, undeniable force, is the very fuel of the universe. Emotion. We have arrived at a crucial juncture in our journey of understanding. We have the architectural blueprint of our beliefs, and we have the focused thought, the arrow of intention, aimed precisely at the future we wish to create. But this arrow, however perfectly aimed, rests dormant on the bowstring, possessing potential but lacking power. For an arrow to fly, the string must be drawn back, gathering tension and kinetic force. In the world of conscious creation, that force, that power that draws back the string and launches our intentions into the cosmos, is the undeniable, visceral power of emotion. Feeling is the fuel of creation's engine. Thought alone is cold and sterile. It is the electrical charge, the spark of an idea, but it lacks the magnetic pull to draw substance to itself. Emotion is the magnetic charge. When you combine a focused thought with a powerful emotion, you create an electromagnetic signature, a broadcast so potent that it resonates through the quantum field and begins to organize energy, to draw matter, to pull the fabric of reality into the shape of your desire. Thought sends the signal, but feeling is the magnet. Without feeling, your thoughts are like unheard whispers in a hurricane, letters sent without a stamp, seeds planted in barren rock. They simply lack the power to take root and grow in the physical world. To understand this more deeply, imagine the universe not as a void, but as an infinite ocean of vibrating energy. And every possible reality is vibrating at a specific frequency. The reality of perfect health has a frequency, a feeling tone of vitality, energy, and flow. The reality of deep, fulfilling love has a frequency, a feeling tone of connection, joy, and open-heartedness. The reality of financial abundance has a frequency, a feeling tone of ease, security, and gratitude. These are like celestial radio stations, broadcasting their signal continuously throughout the cosmos. Now, consider your own emotional state. Your feelings are not just psychological phenomena, they are your personal vibrational tuner. The emotions of joy, love, and gratitude tune your entire being to a very high frequency. The emotions of fear, anger, shame, and scarcity tune you to a very low frequency. The law is simple. You can only experience the realities that you are a vibrational match for. You cannot tune your radio dial to the low frequency of a talk radio station full of complaint and conflict, and expect to hear the high-frequency symphony of joy and abundance. To experience the reality you desire, you must first tune your own vibration, your own feeling state, to match its frequency. This is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of conscious creation. The universe does not respond to your words. It does not respond to your pleas. And it does not even respond to your positive thoughts if they are emotionally empty. The universe responds to the language it understands, the mother tongue of creation itself, which is the language of vibrational frequency, the language of feeling. You can stand in front of a mirror and repeat the affirmation, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times a day. But if as you say those words, your stomach is knotted with the anxiety of unpaid bills, if your heart is heavy with the feeling of lack, if your mind is filled with envy for what others have, then your dominant broadcast is not wealth. It is the painful, low frequency of scarcity. The universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your knotted stomach. It feels your heavy heart. It responds to the dominant vibration you are offering, and faithfully provides you with more circumstances that will match and validate that feeling of lack. This is why positive thinking alone so often fails. It's like painting a happy face on a car that has no engine. It looks good on the surface, but it's not going anywhere. The feeling is the engine. The feeling is the secret. This very idea is the title and the core message of one of the most powerful and concise spiritual audiobooks ever recorded. The Feeling is the Secret, by the Master Mystic, Neville Goddard. Neville taught that we do not need to create anything new. Creation is already finished. Every potential outcome, every possible state of being, from the pauper to the prince, already exists as a reality within the infinite consciousness, within what he called our own wonderful human imagination. Our task is not to build a new reality, but to select one that already exists and enter into it. And the door through which we enter any state is feeling. To experience wealth, you must enter the feeling of being wealthy, here and now, before any external evidence appears. Neville's audio lectures are filled with powerful stories that illustrate this principle. Consider the story of a man who desperately wanted to be honorably discharged from the military to return to his family and civilian life. He was stuck, with no conventional way out. Following the principle, he did not focus on the problem or petition his superiors. Instead, every night as he lay on his army cot, he ignored his physical surroundings. In his imagination, he stood in his own apartment in his home city. He didn't just see it. He felt it. He felt the familiar texture of the armchair. He saw the specific view of the park from his window. He heard the familiar street sounds. And most importantly, he flooded himself with the overwhelming feeling of relief and normalcy. The feeling of it is done. I am home. He lived in this feeling for a few nights, and then let it go. Shortly thereafter, through a strange and completely unforeseen series of bureaucratic events, his discharge papers were approved, and he was sent home. He did not manipulate the outside world. He simply identified the feeling of his wish fulfilled, wore it like a garment until it felt natural, and the world rearranged itself around his new assumption, his new feeling state. This brings us to a crucial distinction: the difference between a fleeting emotion and a sustained state of being. An emotion is often a reaction. Another driver cuts you off, and you feel a flash of anger. You get good news, and you feel a flash of joy. These are like ripples on the surface of the ocean, caused by external winds. A state of being, however, is the deep, powerful current of the ocean itself. It is a feeling state that you choose, that you cultivate, that you inhabit intentionally, regardless of the temporary weather on the surface. The work of the conscious creator is to graduate from being a thermometer, which merely reflects the temperature of the room it is in, to becoming a thermostat, which sets the temperature of the room. You are not meant to be a passive reactor to your world. You are designed to be the generator of the feelings that create your world. In the end, the truth is inescapable. Your thoughts give your creative energy its direction, but it is your emotions that provide the fuel, the fire, the magnetic power that draws your vision from the unseen realm of potential into the visible world of form. To master the art of creation is to master the art of feeling. Your feeling state is not the result of your reality. It is the powerful, undeniable cause of it. This understanding, as profound as it is, leads to a practical challenge. Once we accept the supreme importance of feeling, how do we learn to generate that feeling on demand? How can we feel wealthy when our bank account is empty? Or feel loved when we are alone? How do we create the feeling before the evidence appears? This requires us to enter the inner studio of the mind, and it leads us directly to the sacred art of visualization. We stand now at a place of profound potential. We have accepted that our feeling state is the engine of creation, the magnetic force that draws experience to us from the infinite field of possibility. This knowledge is liberating, but it immediately presents a practical, human challenge. How do we genuinely feel the joy of a success that has not yet occurred? How do we embody the feeling of vibrant health when our body feels weak? Or feel the ease of abundance when our wallet is empty? To simply command oneself to feel better is often a futile exercise against the powerful tide of current reality. We need a bridge. We need a tool that allows us to temporarily suspend our disbelief, to step out of our current circumstances and into the feeling of our answered prayer. That tool, that sacred technology of the mind, is visualization. Let us be perfectly clear. Visualization is not the idle, passive daydreaming of a child. It is not wishful thinking. It is the conscious, deliberate, and focused art of mental rehearsal. It is the work you do in the private theater of your mind to create a neurological and emotional template for the future you intend to manifest. It is a simulator where you practice thinking, acting, and feeling like the person you are becoming. The reason this practice is so incredibly potent is because of a fundamental truth about your brain. It does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real physical one. When you close your eyes and intensely, with sensory richness, imagine yourself performing an action, your brain fires the exact same sequences of neurons as if you were physically performing it. You are, quite literally, building the neurological circuitry for your future in advance. This phenomenon, rooted in the principle of neuroplasticity, is the scientific bedrock beneath the spiritual art of seeing. Neuroplasticity is the brain's proven ability to reorganize itself, to unwire old patterns and wire in new ones, based on repeated experience. And as we now know, that experience can be purely internal. Elite athletes have used this for decades. Skiers close their eyes at the top of a run and mentally rehearse every turn, every bump, every shift in weight, and their brain and muscle fibers fire in response. Studies on basketball players have shown that a group who only visualized practicing free throws for 20 minutes a day improved their performance almost as much as a group who physically practiced. They were strengthening the neural pathways for success without ever touching a ball. This is what the great author and teacher Dr. Joe Dispenza calls creating a memory of the future. You are conditioning your brain and body to such a degree that when your desired future finally arrives, it doesn't feel surprising. It feels familiar. It feels like coming home. You have already been there 1,000 times in your mind. So, how do we engage in this powerful practice effectively? It is an art, but it has a science to it. A series of steps that dramatically increase its potency. The first step is always relaxation. You cannot effectively visualize from a state of stress, anxiety, or analytical thinking. In these states, your brain is operating in a high-frequency beta brainwave pattern, the state of alertness where the critical mind is dominant and the door to the subconscious is closed. Your goal is to quiet your thinking mind and enter the alpha brainwave state, the state of light meditation, relaxation, and heightened creativity. This is easily achieved by simply closing your eyes and taking a few slow, deep breaths, focusing on the feeling of the air moving in and out of your body. This simple act signals to your nervous system that it is safe to relax, and the gateway to your inner screen begins to open. The second step is to define your scene. Your visualization should not be a long, meandering movie with a complex plot. It should be a short, specific, and vivid scene that implies your desire has been fulfilled. The key word is implies. If you desire wealth, don't visualize a lottery ticket winning, as that focuses on a process you cannot control. Instead, visualize the end result. See yourself at your computer, joyfully paying off your final student loan and feeling a wave of freedom wash over you. See yourself looking at a bank statement with a healthy abundant balance, and feeling a deep sense of peace and security. If you desire a loving relationship, don't visualize the first date. Visualice a confortable, intimate moment months or years down the line. A moment that implies a long and happy history together. The scene should be brief. A snapshot of no more than 10 to 15 seconds. Because this allows you to loop it, to repeat it, infusing it with more and more reality each time. The third, and perhaps most crucial step for making it real, is to engage all of your senses. This is what separates flimsy daydreaming from potent creation. Your brain builds its model of reality based on sensory input. To create a memory of the future, you must give it rich sensory data. Don't just see the new car you desire. In your mind, feel the smooth leather of the steering wheel under your fingertips. Smell that unique new car's scent. Hear the satisfyingly quiet hum of the engine as you press the accelerator. See the scenery gliding past your window. The more sensory detail you can pack into your short scene, the more real it becomes to your brain, and the more deeply you are signaling to the quantum field. You are no longer just thinking about it. You are, for a few moments, actually living it. Within this sensory immersion, there is a very important distinction to be made about your point of view. You must visualize from a first-person perspective. You should be looking out at your desired reality through your own eyes. Not watching yourself as if in a movie. Watching yourself from the outside, in a third-person view, creates a sense of detachment. You are an observer of someone else's success. But when you see it through your own eyes, when you see your own hands on the document, your own feet on the sand of your dream vacation, your brain registers this as a personal, embodied experience. You are rewiring your brain. You are conditioning your body. You are the one living the experience. And this association is absolutely critical for embedding the new reality into your subconscious mind. Finally, and this connects everything we have learned so far, you must infuse your scene with the fourth and most powerful ingredient: emotion. As you are living in your first-person, multi-sensory scene, you must consciously generate the feeling that this reality would give you. Feel the gratitude. Feel the empowerment. Feel the freedom. Feel the love. Feel the relief. The sensory details create the physical structure of the memory. But the emotion is what gives it life. It is the feeling that charges the scene with its magnetic power, turning it from a simple mental image into a powerful electromagnetic broadcast that calls forth its physical equivalent. The feelings are the payload. They are the entire point of the exercise. This entire process, from quieting the mind to rehearsing a new future from a first-person perspective, is the very foundation of the transformative work detailed in the popular audiobooks and workshops of Dr. Joe Dispenza. His guided meditations are masterclasses in walking you through this exact process, helping you to disengage from your current reality and systematically build a new memory of a future self, rehearsing it until it becomes a familiar, embodied state of being. Visualization, then, is the sacred bridge. It is the tool that allows us to practice the feeling of our wish fulfilled until that feeling becomes our dominant vibration. It is the mental and spiritual discipline of painting a picture on our inner screen so vividly, with such sensory detail and emotional intensity, that our brain accepts it as real, and the universe has no choice but to provide us with the canvas, the paints, and the gallery in which to hang it. This profound inner work, the creation of the image and the generation of the feeling, is the engine of creation. But how do we carry that energy out of the silent theater of the mind and anchor it into the physical world? We do this by employing the most creative and consistently used tool. We possess the power of our words. We have journeyed deep into the inner world, into the silent theater of the mind, where the future is rehearsed through feeling and visualization. We have learned to paint a masterpiece on our inner screen, to create a neurological and emotional template for the life we desire. This inner work is the essential foundation, the cause behind all effects. But creation is not a purely internal affair. The creator must eventually bring the vision out of the silent world of mind and anchor it into the physical world of form. We need a bridge between the unseen and the seen. And that bridge is built with the vibrations of the words we speak. Your voice is not merely a tool for communication. It is an instrument of incantation. Every word you utter is a sound wave, a vibration that ripples through the quantum field, shaping the energy around you. In the truest sense of the word, you are constantly spelling your world into being. This is not just a mystical metaphor. It has parallels in the physical world. The scientific field of cymatics vividly demonstrates how sound organizes matter. When a fine powder, like sand or salt, is placed on a metal plate, and that plate is vibrated with a specific musical tone, the sand doesn't scatter randomly. It miraculously arranges itself into a beautiful, intricate geometric pattern. A different tone creates a different, equally intricate pattern. The sound vibration is literally structuring the physical material into a coherent form. Your words are these tones. Your life and the energy field around you are the sand on the plate. With every word you speak, you are sending out a vibrational command, instructing the energy around you on how to organize itself. The question is, are you creating beautiful, coherent patterns of harmony and abundance, or chaotic, discordant patterns of struggle and lack? The power of your words is magnified because your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that controls 95% of your life, takes everything you say literally. It has no sense of humor, no capacity for sarcasm. When you casually say to a friend, "Oh, I'm just dying for a vacation," a part of your subconscious mind registers the command dying. When you complain about a difficult task and say, "This is going to be a total nightmare," you are programming your system for a nightmarish experience. While a single statement may seem harmless, the cumulative effect of this unconscious, low-level negative speech is enormous. It is a form of self-hypnosis, a constant stream of limiting instructions that keep you locked in patterns you claim you want to escape. This is why the conscious creator learns to guard the gate of their speech with profound vigilance, especially when it comes to the two most powerful words in the English language, I am. Whatever you place after the words I am is a declaration of truth to the universe and a direct command to your subconscious. It is the beginning of all creation. For most people, these words are used unconsciously to affirm limitation. I am so tired. I am broke. I am always unlucky with relationships. I am just not good at this. Each of these statements is a powerful creative spell, a self-fulfilling prophecy that your entire system will then work diligently to make true. The shift from an unconscious victim to a conscious creator begins with seizing control of these two words. It is the practice of completing the sentence only with what you choose to embody. I am vibrant and full of energy. I am a magnet for prosperity and opportunity. I am worthy and deserving of profound love. I am learning and growing stronger every day. At first, this may feel like a lie, but it is not. It is a declaration of your chosen reality, a statement of your ultimate truth that you are speaking into existence. This discipline extends to your entire vocabulary. It's about consciously shifting your language from a position of lack and hope to a position of ownership and knowing. Listen to the vibrational difference. The language of lack says, I really hope I can get enough money to pay my bills. It is a plea, coming from a place of powerlessness. The language of ownership declares, I am in the process of attracting all the resources I require. Money flows to me from expected and unexpected channels. The first statement affirms the struggle. The second affirms the flow. The language of lack says, "I wish I could find a loving partner." It affirms the absence. The language of ownership states, "I am becoming the perfect partner for the love of my life." And we are being drawn together now. You are not lying about your current circumstances. You are speaking a higher truth about the reality you are currently in the act of creating. You are describing your destination as if you are already on the journey. This is also why the habit of complaining is so spiritually destructive. Complaining is a powerful, emotionally charged ritual of negative affirmation. When you complain about the traffic, your job, your health, or the state of the world, you are passionately focusing your attention, your words, and your feelings on what you do not want. You are performing a prayer for more things to complain about, and the universe, being an impartial mirror, will faithfully grant your prayer. One of the most transformative spiritual practices you can undertake is a complaint fast. Try to go for 7 full days without uttering a single complaint. The exercise will reveal just how deeply ingrained the habit of negative speech is, and it will force you to begin rewiring your brain to find things to praise rather than things to condemn. The pioneering New Thought teacher of the early 20th century, Florence Scovel Shinn, based her entire philosophy, detailed in her timeless audiobook, The Game of Life and How to Play It, on this power of the spoken word. Her teachings are filled with stories of people who transformed their lives through simple, powerful affirmations or decrees. One of her famous stories tells of a woman who desperately needed a large sum of money. Following Shinn's advice, she did not panic, but calmly and repeatedly affirmed, "Spirit is my unfailing supply, and the sum of $10,000 is now mine, under grace, in a perfect way." She was not just hoping, she was declaring a spiritual truth, specifying the amount and adding the crucial caveats of under grace and in a perfect way, ensuring the manifestation would harm none and unfold harmoniously. By repeating this statement of truth, she aligned her own energy with the reality of receiving, and shortly thereafter, the money came to her through a completely unexpected inheritance. She had spoken her world into being. A modern evolution of this practice is known as scripting. This is the act of sitting down with a journal and writing out your desired reality as if it has already happened. You write in the past or present tense, filling the pages with sensory details and emotions. "I am so incredibly grateful for the way this day unfolded. I woke up feeling rested and clear-minded. The presentation I was so nervous about went perfectly. My ideas were celebrated, and I felt a huge surge of confidence. Later, I had a wonderful, laughing dinner with my partner, feeling so deeply connected and loved." Scripting is a potent technique because it combines the focused thought of deciding what to write, the visualization of seeing it in your mind's eye, the emotional charge of feeling the gratitude and joy, and the physical act of writing, which literally impresses the new reality deeper into your subconscious mind. Our words, therefore, are far from empty sounds. They are the chisels we use to sculpt our lives. They are the vibrations that give structure to energy, the commands that program our inner world, and the public declarations that announce our creative intent to the universe. By becoming conscious speakers, by choosing our words with the care of a poet and the authority of a sovereign, we anchor our inner vision into the world of form. We literally and powerfully spell our world into being. And so, we now have all the individual components of creation at our disposal. We have the blueprint of belief, the focus of thought, the fuel of emotion, the rehearsal of visualization, and the declaration of our words. We have all the instruments for a magnificent orchestra. But how do we get them to play together in perfect harmony? How do we unify all these powerful elements into a single, coherent state of being? This requires us to learn the art of synchronizing our frequency. A state known simply and profoundly as alignment, we have now assembled a powerful orchestra of creation. We have the grand blueprint of our beliefs, the focused arrow of our thoughts, the magnetic fuel of our emotions, the inner rehearsal of our visualizations, and the anchoring declaration of our words. We possess all the individual instruments necessary to compose a magnificent life. But any musician will tell you that possessing fine instruments is no guarantee of beautiful music. If the violins are playing a waltz while the trumpets are playing a march, and the drums are keeping a frantic, anxious beat, the result is not a symphony. It is a cacophony. The most beautiful music is only possible when all the instruments are playing the same song, in the same key, and in the same rhythm. In the orchestra of consciousness, this harmony, this resonant coherence, is known as alignment. Alignment is the state of being where there is no contradiction within you. It is the state where your desires, your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, and your words are all pointing in the same direction. There is no inner conflict, no spiritual civil war. When you are in alignment, what you want is in perfect harmony with what you believe you can have, what you are thinking about, and how you are feeling. This is the state of pure, non-resistant flow. It is the path of least resistance, where the universe can deliver your desires to you swiftly and effortlessly, because there are no energetic cross-currents or internal static blocking the signal. To understand this energetically, think of the principle of resonance. If you have two finely tuned guitars in a room and you pluck the G string on one, the G string on the other guitar will begin to vibrate and hum in sympathy, without ever being touched. It resonates because it is tuned to the same frequency. Alignment is the art of tuning the instrument of your being to the exact frequency of the reality you wish to experience. When you are a perfect vibrational match to abundance, the abundance that is already humming in the universe begins to resonate with you and appear in your life. But if your desire is for abundance, yet you are vibrating with the notes of fear, doubt, and scarcity, you are like a guitar that is wildly out of tune. You cannot resonate with the symphony of wealth. Your emotional guidance system is the perfect indicator of whether you are in tune or not. Any negative emotion, without exception, is a sign of misalignment. Feelings like worry, doubt, frustration, anger, jealousy, or despair are not punishments. They are benevolent signals from your inner being, like the check engine light on the dashboard of your car. They are simply and lovingly telling you, the thought you are thinking right now is not in vibrational harmony with who you truly are and what you truly want. Your focus is pointed in the opposite direction of your desire. When you feel good, you are in alignment. Your thoughts are in harmony with your desires. When you feel bad, you are out of alignment. That's all there is to it. The work is not to fear or suppress the negative emotions, but to thank them for the information and use them as a catalyst to gently shift your focus. This is where the profound and practical wisdom taught by Esther Hicks through the consciousness of Abraham comes into play. In their many audiobooks and workshops, they introduce a revolutionary tool for navigating our way back to alignment. Often referred to as the emotional guidance scale, the core teaching is that most of us fail in our attempts to feel better because we try to make emotional jumps that are too large. If you are at the bottom of the emotional scale, in a state of despair or powerlessness about your finances, and you try to jump all the way to the top by affirming, "I am joyful and abundant," the leap is too great. Your mind, grounded in your current reality, rejects it as a lie, and you end up feeling even more frustrated. The art, according to the Abraham Hicks teachings, is not to jump, but to climb. Your only task, in any given moment, is to reach for a thought that feels slightly better. A thought that offers even a tiny measure of relief. Let's follow this process. From a state of fear about money, I'm going to lose everything. The thought everything will be fine feels false. But what about a thought of blame? It's the economy's fault. It's my old boss's fault. Blame, while still negative, is a higher frequency than fear because it contains more power. It's a step up from blame. Perhaps you can reach for anger. I am so angry that I'm in this position. I refuse to accept this anger is a step up from blame because it focuses that power inward and creates a desire for change. From anger, you might be able to find a sliver of hope. Other people have recovered from worse. Maybe it's possible for me too. Hope is a dramatic leap up the scale. From hope, you can find your way to optimism. I have some skills. I'm starting to believe I can figure this out. And from optimism, you can finally reach the high-flying states of belief, knowing, and joy. The key is to validate your current feeling and gently, patiently, reach for the next rung on the ladder. The next better feeling thought. Consider this classic parable drawn from their teachings. A woman desperately desires a loving, committed partnership. This is her core desire. However, her daily focus, el dominant vibration, is one of profound misalignment. She thinks about her loneliness. She speaks to her friends about the lack of good partners available. She feels the sting of past betrayals. And she observes other happy couples with a sense of envy. Her entire energetic broadcast is a symphony of lack of a partner. She is tuned to the frequency of absence. And so the universe faithfully delivers more absence to her. Then, she discovers this principle of alignment. She makes a new decision. She decides that her primary goal is no longer to find a partner, but simply to get into alignment, to feel good now. She stops talking about her loneliness. She unsubscribes from the dating apps that make her feel desperate. She starts filling her own life with joy. She rediscovers her passion for painting. She takes long walks in nature that make her feel peaceful. She cultivates her friendships. And she makes a daily practice of appreciating her own company and the good things already in her life. She has tuned herself to the frequencies of joy, self-love, and appreciation. She is in alignment. And then, one day, while joyfully engaged in her own happy life, not looking for anyone, not feeling the lack of anyone, she meets a person who is a perfect vibrational match to this new, confident, joyful version of herself. The relationship manifests effortlessly, not because she chased it, but because she became an energetic match to it. She attracted not what she wanted, but what she was. This is the art of alignment. It is the practice of making the way you feel your number one priority, and using simple tools to shift your vibration whenever you notice you are out of tune. This can be as simple as putting on a playlist of music that always makes you happy. It can be stepping away from your desk and taking a 5-minute walk in nature, allowing the harmony of the natural world to recalibrate your own. It can be engaging in a gratitude rampage, where you aggressively look for things in your environment to appreciate, no matter how small. I appreciate this comfortable chair. I appreciate the warmth of this cup of coffee. I appreciate the light coming through the window. Gratitude is the ultimate alignment tool, because it is vibrationally impossible to feel both gratitude and fear at the same time. In essence, alignment is the path of least resistance. It is the practice of inner coherence, of becoming a clear and pure channel for the well-being and abundance that is the natural state of the universe. Your emotions are your constant, infallible guide, and your only work is to care enough about how you feel to consistently reach for a thought that feels a little bit better. By mastering this gentle art, you move from a state of struggle and effort to a state of grace and flow, becoming a powerful conductor of your own magnificent, harmonious orchestra. This state of pure, aligned flow sounds idyllic, the ultimate goal of the conscious creator. However, as we walk this path in our complex human lives, we inevitably encounter a powerful, subtle, and frustrating force that pulls us out of alignment and seems to sabotage our best efforts. We must now turn to face this great adversary of creation, a force known simply as resistance. We have learned to tune the instrument of our being, to harmonize our thoughts, feelings, and words, bringing ourselves into that beautiful, coherent state of alignment. In this state, we feel a sense of flow, of power, of clarity. We feel unstoppable. And yet, even with our best intentions, we often hit an invisible wall. We feel ourselves pushing, striving, and struggling. The more we want something, the more it seems to elude us, dancing just beyond our grasp. This frustrating, counterintuitive experience is the hallmark of a force that is the primary adversary to creation. It is the static that disrupts our clear signal, the friction that slows our momentum, the energetic handbrake that we unknowingly apply to our own lives. This force is called resistance. At its core, resistance is born from a fundamental spiritual misunderstanding, a misunderstanding captured perfectly in the timeless axiom, "What you resist persists." When you discover a reality you do not want, a pile of debt, a frightening diagnosis, a feeling of loneliness, the instinctive human reaction is to fight it, to resist it, to push against it with all your might, focusing on how terrible it is and how badly you want it to go away. But in the energetic universe of the observer effect, where is your powerful, creative attention in that moment of resistance? It is focused squarely, intensely, and passionately on the very thing you claim you do not want. You are locked in an energetic tug-of-war with your unwanted reality. Imagine the monster of your debt on one end of a rope, and you on the other, pulling with all your might. As long as you are resisting, you are connected to the monster. You are feeding it your energy, your focus, your emotion. The harder you pull, the more real and solid it becomes. The only way to win the tug-of-war is to commit the radical act of dropping the rope. To stop resisting does not mean to condone or accept the unwanted reality as your permanent fate. It means to withdraw your energy from it. It means to stop making it the central, emotionally charged focus of your mind. When you are resisting your poverty, you are in a constant state of observing lack. You are feeling the fear and anxiety of scarcity, and thus, you are broadcasting a powerful magnetic signal for more experiences that will make you feel fear and anxiety about scarcity. When you are resisting your illness, you are constantly monitoring your body for symptoms, focusing on what is wrong, and feeling the despair of being unwell. You are creating the very state you are trying to escape. The first step to dissolving any unwanted reality is to starve it of your attention. You must gently, and with great discipline, turn your back on what is and place your focus firmly on what you choose to create instead. This leads us to one of the most vital and subtle distinctions on the spiritual path, the difference between pure desire and fearful attachment. This is the difference between creating with joyful ease and struggling with anxious effort. Desire, in its pure form, is a clean, light, creative impulse. It is the universe wanting to expand and express itself through you. It is the thought, "Wouldn't it be wonderful to experience a loving partnership?" Or "I am excited by the idea of creating financial freedom." It is a clear preference, a signal of intention sent out into the field with a sense of possibility and delight. Attachment, On the other hand, is desire that has been corrupted and weighed down by fear. Attachment says, I must have this relationship to be happy. I am incomplete without it. It says, if I don't achieve this financial goal, my life will be a failure. Attachment comes from a deep-seated feeling of lack. It is the white-knuckled, desperate grip on a specific outcome. It is the energy of neediness. And neediness, by its very nature, affirms and broadcasts the absence of what you want. Imagine you have just planted a seed for a beautiful oak tree. Pure desire is the act of planting the seed, watering it, and then walking away in the joyful and confident expectation that the sun, the soil, and the laws of nature will do their work. Attachment is the act of digging up the seed every hour to check if it has sprouted. It is the constant anxiety, the impatience, the second guessing of the process. Is it working? Why isn't it here yet? Maybe I did it wrong. This nervous, fearful energy is a statement of profound distrust in the creative process, and it effectively ensures that the seed will never grow. This is why the universe often delivers our greatest desires only when we have finally, truly given up on them. It is not because the universe is cruel. It is because in the moment of giving up, we finally release the resistant energy of attachment. And in that state of surrender, we become an open channel to receive. There is an old Zen parable that perfectly illustrates this paradox. A young, brilliant archer was set to compete in the kingdom's grand tournament. In private practice, his aim was flawless. He was one with his bow and arrow. But on the day of the tournament, with the emperor watching and a grand prize at stake, he could not hit the target. His shoulders were tense. His breath was shallow. His mind was racing. His old master, watching from the side, approached him and said, "The problem is not your skill. The problem is that you are shooting with two minds. One mind is on the target, but the other, stronger mind is on the prize. Your need to win has made you a slave to the outcome. Forget the prize. There is only the bow, the arrow, and the target. Breathe. Become the arrow." The young archer closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and let go of his desperate need to win. He released his attachment to the outcome. When he opened his eyes, he drew the bow not with strain, but with a fluid grace, and his arrow flew true, striking the heart of the target. He succeeded only when he stopped trying so hard. This is the essence of the Taoist principle of Wu Wei, or effortless action. It is the art of acting from a state of trusting flow, rather than tense struggle. It is the art of dropping the rope. This ancient wisdom is now mirrored in modern techniques like the Sedona method, a simple process of emotional release that guides you to let go of limiting feelings and attachments. The entire process is a practical application of this paradox. You resolve a problem not by fighting it, but by willingly letting go of your emotional attachment to it. So we are faced with the ultimate creative paradox. The process requires two distinct, seemingly contradictory steps. Step 1 is the focused intention. This is the active phase. You must use your creative power to vividly imagine and feel your desired reality. You must make it so real on your inner screen that your body and mind believe it has already happened. You charge it with the fuel of positive emotion. Step 2 is the complete surrender. This is the passive phase. Once you have done the inner work with clarity and feeling, you must drop it. Let it go completely. Turn your attention to something else that brings you joy. Go about your day with the calm, knowing confidence of someone who has placed an order at their favorite restaurant. You don't follow the waiter into the kitchen to supervise the chef. You trust the process. You know your order is being prepared and will be delivered at the perfect moment. This act of letting go is not resignation. It is not giving up. It is the ultimate act of faith. It is graduating from a novice creator who anxiously oversees every detail, to a master creator who gives the command and then allows the infinite intelligence of the universe to handle the logistics. To dissolve resistance is to stop fighting the current of your own life and learn to float, trusting that the river knows the way to the ocean. You win the tug of war not by pulling harder, but by releasing your grip and watching the monster of your own resistance simply disappear. This act of letting go, of surrendering the outcome, is not an act of weakness or resignation. It is an act of profound strength because it is rooted in an unshakable trust. But what exactly are we trusting? We are placing our faith in a higher intelligence, in a perfect unfolding that operates on a schedule far grander than our own. This leads us to the essential concepts of divine timing and inspired action. The art of letting go, of surrendering our desperate attachment to an outcome, is the key that unlocks the door to effortless creation. It is an act of profound trust, but this surrender immediately raises two of the most persistent and practical questions that arise on this journey. When will my desire arrive? And what am I supposed to be doing while I wait? The impulse of the anxious mind is to fill the void with frantic action and to demand a precise timeline. The wisdom of the conscious creator, however, lies in understanding a sacred division of labor between you and the universe. Your job is to define the what and to feel the why. The what is your clear, focused vision. The why is the joyful, elevated emotion you attach to it. The rest of the details, the how and the when, do not belong to you. They are the domain of an intelligence far vaster and more capable than your conscious mind. Trusting this division of labor is the secret to moving from struggle to grace. This brings us to the crucial difference between two kinds of action: forced action and inspired action. Forced action is what we do when we don't trust the universe to handle the how. It is born from the energy of misalignment, from a place of fear, doubt, and impatience. It is the voice of the ego saying, "This isn't happening fast enough, so I have to get out there and make it happen through sheer effort and will." Forced action feels heavy. It feels like a struggle, a grind. It is the list of shoulds and have-tos that you dread. It is the aspiring entrepreneur making 100 miserable cold calls a day because they are terrified of failure. It is the single person frantically swiping through dating apps every night because they are terrified of being alone. They are acting not from a place of inspiration, but from a place of lack. While this kind of hustling is often glorified in our culture, in the energetic reality of creation, it is profoundly inefficient. It is like trying to swim upstream against a powerful current. You may make some slow, exhausting progress, but you are fighting the natural flow of the river, and the underlying vibration you are broadcasting is one of struggle and scarcity, which can only create more experiences of struggle and scarcity. Inspired action, on the other hand, is the universe's answer to your how. It is what happens when you have done your inner work. You are in a state of alignment, and you have let go of the outcome. Inspired action comes not as a heavy obligation, but as a light, joyful, and often sudden impulse. It feels effortless. It feels like play. It's the thought that pops into your head while you're in the shower or on a walk in nature, completely relaxed and not thinking about your desire at all. It is the sudden urge to go to a specific coffee shop where you happen to run into a future business partner. It's the spontaneous idea to call an old friend you haven't spoken to in years, who then tells you about a perfect opportunity that has just opened up. It's the inexplicable pull to read a certain book or listen to a certain podcast, which contains the exact piece of information you needed to solve a problem. Inspired action doesn't feel like work because it is the universe working through you. It is the next logical step on the path of least resistance, a step you could never have planned with your logical mind. You cannot schedule inspired action in your calendar. You can only do the work of getting into alignment and then remain open and alert enough to act on the joyful impulse when it arrives. This, of course, requires a deep trust in the when, a concept often called divine timing. The human ego lives by the clock and the calendar and is perpetually impatient. It wants everything yesterday. But divine timing operates on a far grander and more intelligent schedule. It is not a cosmic punishment or a test of your patience. Divine timing is the perfect, graceful orchestration of all cooperative components. Imagine you are baking a magnificent, complex cake. You have gathered the finest ingredients and placed them in the oven. Your ego is like an impatient child, wanting to pull the cake out after just 5 minutes. But if you do, you won't have a cake. You will have a gooey, uncooked mess. For the cake to reach its perfect, most delicious expression, it needs time. The heat needs to activate the baking soda. The flour needs to set. The sugar needs to caramelize. Divine timing is the universe as the master baker, ensuring that all the ingredients for your manifestation are perfectly prepared for you to meet your ideal partner. Perhaps that person first needs to end a different relationship and move to your city for you to get your dream job. Perhaps the person currently in that position needs to get promoted first for you to handle the success you desire. Perhaps you first need to learn a few more lessons in self-worth and responsibility. What feels like a delay from your limited perspective is, from a higher perspective, a period of graceful and necessary preparation. Perhaps no story illustrates this beautiful dance between desire, trust, and action more perfectly than Paulo Coelho's timeless audiobook masterpiece. The Alchemist. The protagonist, a young shepherd boy named Santiago, has a clear desire. To find a treasure buried at the foot of the Egyptian pyramids. He has absolutely no idea how he will get there. His journey across the desert is a profound lesson in surrendering the how and when to the universe. He learns to read the language of the world through what the book calls omens. These omens are what we would call synchronicities. They are a chance encounter with a mysterious old king, a dream that guides him, the flight of 2 hawks that reveals an approaching army. At every step of his journey, Santiago does not know the full path. He only knows the next inspired step, which is revealed to him by trusting these signs. When he loses all his money, the inspired action is to work for a crystal merchant, where he learns a vital lesson. When he is lost in the desert, the inspired action is to trust a mysterious horseman, the alchemist, who guides him further. Santiago's journey is the perfect metaphor for conscious creation. He holds his ultimate vision in his heart, but he walks the path by taking one inspired, present moment action at a time, trusting that the universe is constantly communicating with him and guiding his way. These omens are not just for shepherd boys and fables. They are happening in your life every day. It's the song that comes on the radio with lyrics that seem to speak directly to your situation. It's seeing recurring number patterns like 1111, just as you are pondering a big decision. It's a stranger in a cafe saying something that happens to be the exact answer to a question you were just asking yourself internally. These are not mere coincidences. They are winks from the universe. Gentle confirmations that your signal has been received, that you are on the right path, and that the how is being taken care of. Your job is not to obsess over their meaning, but to simply notice them, smile, and say thank you, allowing them to bolster your faith in the unseen process. The path of the Creator, then, is a beautiful partnership. We do our part to clarify our vision. We feel the joy of its fulfillment. We release our resistance, and we get into a state of happy alignment. Then, we trust our partner. We trust the universe, with its infinite intelligence, to handle the complex logistics of the how and to deliver our creation at the moment of perfect divine timing. We learn to relax into the not knowing, confident that when the moment is right for us to act, an inspired, joyful, and unmistakable impulse will arise from within. This stance of trust with the universe is a beautiful and powerful practice. However, there is another partnership we must master, an inner partnership that is often far more challenging. For all our conscious efforts to trust and align, there is a powerful gatekeeper within us, a hidden operative that runs on old programming and can sabotage our best intentions. We must now venture into the domain of this silent partner, the subconscious mind. We have learned to dance in partnership with the universe, to trust in the elegant flow of divine timing and the joyful whisper of inspired action. This is a profound and powerful practice. However, there is another partnership, an inner one, that we must master if we are to become truly effective creators. For all our conscious efforts to feel good, to focus our thoughts, and to trust the process, there is a silent partner within us, a vast and powerful entity that is truly running the show. This entity is the subconscious mind. Imagine your consciousness is like an iceberg, the small tip that you see above the water. The part that you identify as you is your conscious mind. It is the part that sets goals, makes plans, and worries. It accounts for, at most, 5% of your total mental power, the enormous, unseen mass of ice below the surface. The part that dictates the iceberg's true direction and momentum is your subconscious mind. This is the other 95%. It is the domain of your emotions, your memories, your automatic bodily functions, your habits, and your deepest core beliefs about reality. It is the autopilot system that is flying your plane while your conscious mind is looking out the window, enjoying the view. Herein lies the great challenge of human experience. If your conscious desire, your 5%, is in conflict with your subconscious programming, your 95%, the 95% will win every single time. This is why sheer willpower so often fails. Willpower is a function of the conscious mind. Trying to force a change with willpower against a contradictory subconscious program is like trying to steer a cruise ship with a canoe paddle. The subconscious mind is not your enemy. It is, in fact, the most powerful and obedient servant you will ever have. Its primary directives are to keep you safe and to operate your life as efficiently as possible based on the programs it has been given. It is like an incredibly fertile garden. The subconscious itself is the rich, dark soil, capable of growing anything, and it does not judge the seeds you give it. The seeds are your dominant thoughts, your most cherished beliefs, and your most frequently felt emotions. If, over the years, you have consistently planted seeds of fear, self-doubt, and limitation, your subconscious garden has dutifully and without question produced a bountiful harvest of weeds, thorns, and bitter fruit in your life. It is not punishing you. It is simply growing what you planted. As we've learned, most of these seeds were planted in our early childhood, when the gates to the garden were wide open, and we had no conscious gardener on duty to inspect what was being thrown over the fence. The great work of becoming a conscious creator is the work of becoming a master gardener of your own mind. It is the process of learning to identify and pull the old weeds of limitation and to begin, deliberately and consistently, planting new seeds of love, abundance, and empowerment. To do this, we must first learn to speak the language of the garden. The subconscious mind does not understand your native tongue in the way your conscious mind does. It does not respond to logic, reason, or complex debate. Trying to argue with your subconscious to release a limiting belief is utterly ineffective. Its native tongue, the language it understands with perfect clarity, is the language of feeling, imagery, and symbolism. This is the sacred language of dreams, of art, of myth. And this is precisely why the tools we have already explored are so profoundly effective. Visualization is not just about seeing a mental picture. It is about creating a powerful symbolic image and delivering it directly to the subconscious. The feeling state is not just about getting happy. It is about generating the emotional frequency that the subconscious recognizes as a command to create a corresponding reality. A single, clear image of your success, charged with the powerful feeling of gratitude, is a message the subconscious understands instantly and begins to act upon. 1,000 well-reasoned logical arguments for why you should be successful are just incomprehensible noise to it. You must speak to the 95% in the language it understands. So how do we deliver these new instructions? How do we bypass the analytical, critical conscious mind and gain access to the subconscious programming? We do it by communicating during the times when the conscious mind, the gatekeeper, is relaxed and off-duty. There are two golden opportunities, two sacred windows of time, that occur every single day. The first is the state of drowsiness you enter just before you fall asleep. The second is the state of grogginess you are in, just as you awaken. In these precious moments, your brainwaves shift from the alert beta state to the relaxed alpha and even the deep, dreamlike theta state. The veil between the conscious and subconscious mind becomes thin. The gatekeeper is sleepy. This is the optimal time for reprogramming. The technique is simple and profound. It is often called autosuggestion, or the lullaby method. First, you must craft your new instruction. It should be a short, simple, emotionally resonant phrase or a brief mental movie that implies your wish is fulfilled. Not "I will be healthy," but "I am radiantly healthy and whole." Not "I want to be wealthy," but the simple feeling of relief and gratitude for your financial freedom. Then, as you are lying in bed, drifting off to sleep, you repeat this phrase or play this mental movie over and over again. You don't force it, you simply lull yourself to sleep with it, feeling the truth of it as deeply as you can. As you drift into unconsciousness, this final, dominant impression is the command you are handing over to your subconscious mind. It will then work on this new blueprint all night long, rearranging your energy field, influencing your cells, and priming you to notice opportunities that align with this new reality when you awaken. The same process can be done in the morning, holding on to that peaceful, receptive state and planting the seed for the day you wish to experience. The key to this, as with tending any garden, is repetition. One night of practice is good. 30 consecutive nights of practice can change your life, as it builds new neural pathways and overwrites the old, limiting programs. The magnificent power of this process was championed by the great writer and lecturer Dr. Joseph Murphy in his classic audiobook, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Dr. Murphy, a pioneer in making these esoteric ideas accessible, filled his work with countless true stories of people who transformed their lives using this very principle. He told stories of people healing themselves of terminal diseases, attracting soulmates, and creating immense wealth through the simple, disciplined practice of impressing a new idea upon their subconscious mind. One famous story tells of a man who was suffering from a debilitating and painful skin disease that doctors could not cure. Following the principles, the man stopped focusing on his affliction. Instead, every night, he created a simple mental movie. In it, he vividly imagined a doctor examining him, looking at his skin with astonishment, and exclaiming, "It's a miracle. You have had a perfect healing. He replayed this scene with all the feeling of relief and joy he could muster. Every single night as he fell asleep, he was not giving his subconscious a complex medical diagram. He was giving it a simple, powerful, emotionally charged picture of the end result. Within a few months, his subconscious mind, the master chemist that controls all bodily processes, responded to the repeated instruction and manifested the physical reality that matched the inner image. His skin healed completely. This is the power that lies dormant within each of us. Our subconscious mind is not our adversary. It is a powerful, non-judgmental, and tireless servant, awaiting our clear commands. By learning to speak its native language of feeling and imagery, by honoring its power, and by using the sacred windows of time each day to deliver our new programming, we can transform this silent partner from a gatekeeper that blocks our path into our greatest and most powerful ally in the art of creation. This journey into the subconscious to reprogram our limiting beliefs is a profound act of self-reclamation. But as we dig in this inner garden, we often unearth more than just simple beliefs, like I'm not good with money. We encounter deeper, more emotionally charged parts of ourselves that we have denied, judged, and pushed into the darkness. To become truly whole and powerful creators, we must be brave enough to face these rejected aspects, to venture into the territory of the shadow. As we journey deeper into the fertile garden of the subconscious mind, learning to pull the weeds of our limiting beliefs, we inevitably discover that some of what we have buried is far more complex than a simple program. We encounter tangled roots, emotionally charged energies, and parts of ourselves that we have long since disowned and refused to acknowledge. We come face to face with what the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow self. Embracing this shadow is not a detour on the path of the conscious creator. It is an essential and transformative initiation. To create a life of wholeness, we must first be willing to become whole ourselves. The shadow is the psychic baggage we all carry. It is a metaphorical container in the basement of our consciousness where we have stuffed every aspect of our personality that we, our family, or our culture deemed unacceptably, unworthy, or unlovable. It is the repository for our dark side, the impulses we are ashamed of, our rage, our envy, our greed, our laziness, our manipulative tendencies. But the shadow is not purely negative. It also contains what Jung called the golden shadow, the parts of our brilliance that we disowned because we were afraid of them or were taught they were inappropriate. This can be our untamed creativity, our fierce assertiveness, or ref sensuality, our profound intuitive power. Any part of our authentic self that we had to suppress in order to fit in and feel safe was relegated to the shadow. We created a good and acceptable persona to show the world, and we locked the rest of ourselves away, hoping no one would ever see it. The problem, however, is that what is repressed is not destroyed. That which is pushed down into the darkness does not simply vanish. It festers and gathers energy, and because the ego cannot bear to look at its own shadow, it performs a brilliant and insidious trick of self-preservation. It projects the shadow outward. We do not see the disowned traits in ourselves. We see them, with glaring clarity, in the people and the world around us. This is the psychological mechanism of projection. The rage you cannot acknowledge in yourself becomes the infuriating road rager who cuts you off in traffic. The laziness you deny in your own being becomes the lazy coworker or family member who drives you to distraction. The part of you that secretly judges others is projected onto the world, and you perceive yourself to be surrounded by critical, judgmental people. This principle is a challenging but profoundly liberating truth: to accept whatever triggers you, irritates you, or emotionally obsesses you about another person. is almost certainly a disowned aspect of your own shadow, calling for your attention. The world becomes a perfect mirror, not of what you want, but of what you have refused to own. Your life becomes populated with a cast of characters who are, in effect, as actors hired by your soul to play out the parts of yourself that you have exiled. This is the observer effect at its most intimate level. You are not observing an objective world of annoying people. You are observing the projected contents of your own unconscious mind. As long as you believe the problem is out there, you remain a victim, powerless to change it. The moment you realize the trigger is a projection, you reclaim your power, because you can now work on the source of the projection yourself. This dynamic exacts a heavy creative toll. It requires an immense amount of psychic energy to keep the shadow locked away, to maintain the prison walls. This is vital creative energy that is being wasted on internal suppression instead of being used for external creation. Furthermore, this state of inner conflict broadcasts a chaotic, low-frequency vibration. It keeps you stuck in cycles of blame and victimhood, which are antithetical to the aligned state required for conscious creation. The universe, in its infinite intelligence and desire for your wholeness, will continue to send you these triggers. It will bring you boss after boss, who embodies the authoritarian father you never stood up to. It will bring you partner after partner who embodies the emotional unavailability you refuse to see in yourself. These people are not your tormentors. They are your teachers. They are sacred messengers, holding up a mirror to your disowned self, inviting you to heal, to resist them, to fight them, to blame them, is to refuse the lesson. And as we know, the lesson will only get louder and more insistent until it is learned. The path out of this cycle is the path of integration. To integrate your shadow does not mean to condone negative behavior or to start acting out your darkest impulses. It is the exact opposite. It is the courageous process of bringing the darkness into the light of your conscious awareness. For only what is conscious can be healed and transformed. The process begins with identifying your triggers. Who in your life pushes your buttons the most? What specific traits do they possess that make you see red? Make a list. Then comes the act of radical honesty. You must look at that list and ask the difficult question: where do I exhibit a version of this trait in my own life? Even in a small way, in what situations do I feel this same impulse? Where in my life have I been forced to repress this part of myself? This leads to a compassionate dialogue with the disowned part. Instead of judging your inner angry self, you ask it, what are you trying to protect me from? What are you afraid of? Instead of shaming your lazy self, you might ask, are you simply trying to get me the rest that I have been denying myself? You approach these hidden parts not as monsters to be slain, but as lost children to be heard and brought back into the family of the self. In doing this, you withdraw the projection from the external world and reclaim the energy that was bound up in it. The late, great author Debbie Ford, in her transformative audiobook, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, taught that within every shadow aspect, there is a nugget of gold, a core strength that has been distorted. The shadow of greed holds the golden seed of ambition. The shadow of control holds the golden seed of leadership. The shadow of rage holds the golden seed of passionate conviction. By embracing the shadow, we are not embracing the distorted expression. We are reclaiming the raw energy of the core strength so that we can express it in a healthy, conscious, and constructive way. Imagine a woman who is constantly attracting domineering, authoritarian bosses. She changes jobs repeatedly, but the same dynamic plays out. Through introspection, perhaps guided by these teachings, she has a revelation. As a child, she was praised for being quiet and agreeable, and shamed for being bossy or opinionated. To be loved, she pushed her own natural assertiveness and leadership qualities deep into her shadow, because she refused to own her own inner authority. The universe consistently provided her with external authorities to mirror this disowned power back to her. The moment she begins the work of integration, of giving her own assertive voice permission to speak in a healthy way, of setting boundaries, of trusting her own ideas, the dynamic miraculously shifts. The external bosses either begin to treat her with a newfound respect, or she effortlessly attracts a new opportunity where her leadership is not a threat, but a celebrated asset. She stopped observing her projected shadow in others, and in doing so, the need for the projection disappeared. The journey of the conscious creator, therefore, is not a shallow path of only thinking happy thoughts. It is a profound journey of becoming whole. By having the courage to face and embrace our shadow, we withdraw our angry projections from the world. We reclaim vast stores of creative energy, and we dissolve the repeating, painful patterns in our lives. We finally understand, on the most intimate level, that the world is not happening to us, but is a perfect, unflinching mirror of our relationship with all parts of ourselves. This courageous act of embracing our own darkness, of looking at our so-called flaws with compassion and understanding, is one of the deepest forms of self-love. It is an act of profound gratitude for the totality of our being. This brings us to a force so powerful, so transformative, that it can shift our entire point of attraction in an instant. This is the simple, yet world-altering, magic of gratitude. Having journeyed into the shadowed valleys of the psyche and done the courageous work of integration, we emerge into the light, ready to embrace a force so simple, yet so profoundly transformative. It can be considered the master key to conscious creation. This force is not a complex technique or an esoteric secret. It is a state of being that is available to you in any moment, regardless of your circumstances. It is the emotional signature of abundance, the native frequency of the universe itself. It is the magic of gratitude. We must first understand that gratitude is not merely a polite social custom or a moral obligation. It is a high-powered, creative, vibrational tool. It is a lens through which you choose to observe your world. And as we know, the way you observe your world determines the world you experience. Most people live in a state of conditional gratitude. It is a transactional relationship with life that says, I will be grateful when I receive what I want. I will feel thankful after my prayers are answered. This approach, while common, is a creative dead end. It is a declaration to the universe that says, my present moment is not good enough. I am currently in a state of lack, and I will remain here until you give me something to be happy about. The universe, being an impartial mirror, simply reflects this state of lack back to you, creating more circumstances that feel not good enough. The conscious creator chooses a different path. They practice unconditional gratitude. This is the discipline and the delight of finding things to be grateful for right now, without any conditions needing to be met. It is the choice to withdraw your attention from what you think is missing in your life and to place it, with deep appreciation, on the abundance that is already present. It is feeling a wave of genuine thanks for the air filling your lungs, for the miracle of a body that can see and hear and taste, for the roof over your head, for the clean water that flows from your tap, for the existence of music and laughter and kindness. This is not about pretending you don't have challenges. It is about shifting your dominant point of focus. When you choose to observe your life through the lens of gratitude, you are broadcasting a powerful, coherent, high-frequency signal into the quantum field. The energetic statement you are making is, I am a person who has so much to be thankful for. My life is filled with blessings. And the law of resonance dictates that the universe must respond by sending you more experiences, people, and circumstances that match this high frequency, giving you even more to be grateful for. The power of gratitude is not just spiritual theory, it is increasingly being validated by science. Research from institutions like the HeartMath Institute has shown that when a person experiences genuine feelings of appreciation and gratitude, their heart rhythm immediately shifts from a chaotic, jagged pattern to a smooth, harmonious, sine wave-like pattern. This state, known as heart coherence, has a cascading positive effect on the entire body. It reduces stress hormones like cortisol, boosts the immune system, and enhances cognitive function in the brain. In short, the state of gratitude brings your entire biological system into a state of optimal alignment and harmony. It is the fastest and most effective way to change your personal vibration and, consequently, to change the signal you are broadcasting to the reality around you. It is the master key that changes the channel of your experience from the station of problems and lack to the station of solutions and abundance, while the practice of being grateful for what you already have is transformative. There is an even more advanced application of this power, a master-level technique that combines the frequency of gratitude with the creative law of assumption. This is the practice of feeling and expressing gratitude for your desire as if it has already been fulfilled. You are not being thankful that it is on its way. You are being thankful that it is already a done deal. You are generating the emotional signature of an answered prayer. For example, a person desiring to heal a relationship would not say, "Please, I hope we can heal." They would enter a state of gratitude and say, "I am so deeply grateful for the beautiful, loving, and harmonious relationship I now share with this person. I am so thankful for the understanding and compassion that flows between us," someone desiring a new career opportunity would declare, in their journal or in their prayers. "Thank you for my deeply fulfilling new job. I am so grateful for the creative challenges, the supportive colleagues, and the abundant compensation that is now mine." This practice is extraordinarily potent because it closes the energetic gap between you and your desire completely. It perfectly aligns your belief, your thought, your feeling, and your words into one coherent, unstoppable broadcast. You are simultaneously defining what you want, assuming it is already real, and feeling the highest possible emotional frequency about it. It is one of the most powerful creative acts a human being can perform. A direct command to the subconscious mind and the quantum field that this new reality is not just a possibility. It is a completed fact. The simplicity and power of this practice are at the heart of Rhonda Byrne's work, particularly her audiobook, The Magic, which lays out a 28-day program for cultivating a life-altering gratitude habit. The stories that have emerged from people undertaking this practice are a testament to its power. Consider a person mired in debt and professional frustration. They feel hopeless and stuck. They begin the simple daily exercises each morning, making a list of 10 things they are grateful for and feeling the thankfulness. And each night, holding a simple gratitude rock and thinking of the best thing that happened that day. At first, it feels mechanical, but as they persist, a shift occurs. Their perception begins to change. They start to notice the good things they had previously overlooked. Their mood lifts as their dominant vibration changes from complaint to appreciation. Their external reality begins to morph in seemingly magical ways. An old client they had forgotten about calls with a lucrative project. They receive an unexpected rebate check in the mail. They have a brilliant idea for a new service to offer. The universe begins to present them with evidence of their new grateful vibration, momentum builds. And soon, their entire financial and professional life is transformed. not through a massive, stressful change in their actions, but through a simple, profound, and consistent change in their daily point of observation. Gratitude, therefore, is not a passive response to getting what you want. It is an active, powerful cause of it. It is the language of receiving. It is the acknowledgement of the ever-present abundance of the universe. And in so doing, it opens you to experience more of it. It is the ultimate state of alignment. By choosing to observe your world through the lens of appreciation, you are attuning yourself to the very best that life has to offer. And life, in turn, will joyfully reveal its treasures to you. This practice of gratitude does more than just make us feel good and attract more good things. It has a deeper, more expansive effect. It begins to dissolve the illusion of our separateness. It helps us to see that we are not creating in a vacuum, but are part of a vast, intelligent, and invisible web of interconnection that supports and sustains us all. The practice of gratitude, when sincerely felt, performs a subtle and profound alchemy upon our consciousness. It begins to dissolve the rigid boundaries of the ego, the persistent feeling of being a small, separate self in a vast and indifferent world. As this illusion of separation melts away, we begin to sense a deeper truth. We are not creating in a vacuum. We are not isolated islands of awareness. Instead, we are all integral threads in a vast, intelligent, and shimmering web of interconnection. Every thought we think, every emotion we feel, and every reality we observe into being sends a ripple, a vibration, through this entire web, affecting the whole in ways we are only just beginning to understand. Modern physics, in its quest to understand the fundamental nature of reality, has stumbled upon a phenomenon so strange that it baffled even Albert Einstein, who famously called it spooky action at a distance. This phenomenon is known as quantum entanglement. In essence, it shows that two particles, once linked, can remain connected as a single system, no matter how vast the distance separating them. If you measure a property of one particle in New York, the corresponding property of its entangled twin in Tokyo is instantly determined, seemingly faster than the speed of light. While this is a property of subatomic particles, it serves as a stunning scientific metaphor for the nature of our own interconnected consciousness. It suggests that at a level beyond our physical senses, the separation we perceive is an illusion. It hints that we are all, in some mysterious way, entangled, part of a single, unified field of consciousness where a change in one of us can instantaneously influence all of us. This idea is taken to its ultimate spiritual conclusion in one of the most radical and empowering teachings of the mystic Neville Goddard. He taught a principle that, once truly grasped, changes your entire perception of reality. The principle is this: everyone is you pushed out. This means that every single person in your life, from your most cherished loved one to your most frustrating adversary, is not an independent agent acting of their own accord within your reality. They are, in fact, messengers, actors on your stage, playing the roles that your own consciousness has assigned to them. The critical boss is the externalization of your own inner critic or your disowned fear of authority. The loving and supportive partner is the externalization of your own self-love and your belief in your worthiness. The friend who betrays you is playing out a script based on your own subconscious fears of betrayal. You are the sole writer, director, and producer of your life's play. Others are simply reading the lines you have handed them. Lines written by the invisible ink of your own beliefs, assumptions, and inner conversations. This is a concept of breathtaking responsibility. It completely eliminates the possibility of blame. You can no longer be a victim of another person's behavior, because their behavior towards you is a direct reflection of your own state of consciousness. If you hold a deep-seated assumption that people are generally untrustworthy, you will cast the characters in your play as untrustworthy, and they will dutifully hit their marks and speak their lines, validating your belief. If you shift your core assumption and begin to truly believe that people are kind, supportive, and have good intentions, you are recasting the roles. The very same people may begin to act differently towards you, or they may gracefully exit your stage to be replaced by new actors who are a better match for your new script. This moves the act of creation beyond simply attracting things and into the realm of total creative authorship of your entire human experience. This idea of an interconnected consciousness that can be influenced by the few for the benefit of the many is beautifully illustrated in the parable of the 100th monkey effect. While the scientific accuracy of the original story is debated, its metaphorical power is undeniable. The story goes that scientists observing a colony of monkeys on the Japanese island of Koshima noticed a brilliant young monkey who figured out how to wash her sandy sweet potatoes in the sea before eating them. She taught this clever trick to her mother and her immediate playmates. For a while, only a small number of monkeys on the island adopted this new behavior. But then, something extraordinary happened. When a hypothetical critical number, the 100th monkey, finally learned the skill, the new awareness seemed to break through a collective barrier. Almost overnight, nearly every monkey on the island began washing their potatoes. Even more mysteriously, the story claims that monkeys on nearby islands, with whom there had been no physical contact, suddenly and spontaneously began washing their potatoes as well. This story serves as a powerful illustration of a collective consciousness, a shared energetic field for a species. It suggests that when a new idea, a new skill, or a new level of awareness reaches a certain critical mass, it becomes part of this shared field, making it exponentially easier for all other members of that group to access the same awareness. Every time you engage in your own personal work, you are being that 100th monkey. Every time you choose a thought of love over a thought of fear, every time you heal a shadow aspect within yourself, every time you elevate your own vibration into a state of gratitude and joy, you are not just doing it for you. You are contributing that clarified, high-frequency energy to the entire human collective. You are washing your potato, and in doing so, you are embedding the how-to into the shared field, making it just a little bit easier for someone on the other side of the world, someone you will never meet, to learn the same lesson. Your private victories are public contributions. Your personal healing is a service to the planet. You are, in the most profound sense, observing a better world into being for everyone. This understanding completely reframes the purpose of self-development. It ceases to be a selfish pursuit and becomes one of the most selfless and impactful things you can do. The illusion of separation is the final frontier to be crossed by the conscious creator. We are not isolated actors vying for limited resources. We are deeply entangled cells in a single cosmic body, threads in a single tapestry. The world and the people in it are a flawless mirror of our own consciousness, and every positive shift we make within ourselves sends a healing, harmonious ripple throughout the entire web. In every moment, whether we are aware of it or not, we are observing and creating for all of humanity. This profound understanding of our interconnectedness brings with it a great sense of responsibility. If the people in our lives are simply reflections of our own consciousness, how then do we go about changing a difficult relationship or a frustrating interaction? The answer is as paradoxical as it is powerful. We don't change them at all. We change our observation of them. Having awakened to the profound truth that we are all threads in a single, interconnected web of consciousness, we are now faced with one of the most practical and transformative applications of this knowledge. We understand, at least in principle, that everyone in our life is a reflection of our own consciousness. a messenger playing a role we have assigned. This leads to a pivotal question. What do we do about the difficult people? How do we handle the frustrating relationships? The critical family members? The challenging colleagues? The conventional approach is to try to change the other person through argument, persuasion, criticism, or manipulation. This is the path of struggle, and it is doomed to fail. To try and change another person from the outside is like trying to change your reflection by yelling at the mirror. The mirror can only and will only reflect back what is in front of it. To change the reflection, you must change yourself. You change others by changing your observation of them. The attempt to change another person is rooted in the ego's desire to control and the illusion of separation. It broadcasts a message of resistance. I do not approve of who you are. You are wrong. And you must change to fit my preferences. This energy is immediately met with defensiveness and counter-resistance, creating a cycle of conflict. Furthermore, from a creative standpoint, when you are focused on what you dislike about someone, their unreliability, their negativity, their anger, you are using your powerful, God-given creative focus to water those very weeds. You are holding them in a vibrational prison of your own making, and then rattling the bars, demanding to know why they are not free. You are observing their faults into greater and greater expression within your own reality. The true path to transforming any relationship is to stop trying to fix the mirror and to begin the sacred work of changing the image you are holding within your own mind. Every person contains, within their field of potential, an infinite number of versions of themselves. There is a version of your boss who is supportive and a version who is critical. There is a version of your partner who is loving and a version who is distant. There is a version of your friend who is trustworthy and a version who is flaky. All of these potentials exist. The version that you experience, the one who shows up in your reality, is the one that is in vibrational resonance with your own dominant beliefs and assumptions about them. You are constantly tuning into a specific broadcast frequency of that person. The art of conscious creation lies in deliberately choosing the frequency you wish to receive. If you have decided, based on past evidence, that your mother is always critical, you will be tuned to the critical mother channel, and you will miss the moments of her kindness or praise. Your work is to consciously change the channel. You must begin to look for, remember, and focus on the aspects of that person you do appreciate, even if it's just a fleeting memory of a time they were kind. The fact that you can access that memory proves that that version of them is a real potential. By withdrawing your energy from the unwanted version and placing it on the desired version, you begin to observe a new reality and to be. One of the most powerful and practical techniques for achieving this was taught by Neville Goddard, a technique he called revision. Revision is a form of spiritual hygiene, a way of cleansing the energetic residue of the day and rewriting your past to create a new future. The practice is best done in a relaxed, sleepy state. Just before you drift off to sleep, you review the events of your day in your mind's eye. If you encounter any scene, conversation, or interaction that was unpleasant, you do not dwell on it or analyze it. You simply stop, and you rewrite it. You revise the scene and replay it in your imagination exactly as you wished it would have happened, until it feels real and natural. For instance, imagine you had a tense argument with your spouse over finances. In your revision, you would imagine that same conversation, but instead of arguing, you are both calm, understanding, and come to a loving, mutually supportive solution. You feel the relief, the connection, the peace. Imagine your boss gave you harsh criticism in a meeting. In your revision, you imagine your boss calling you in afterwards to praise your work and clarify their point in a constructive way. You feel the pride and the sense of being valued. Neville taught that this was not just a psychological trick to make yourself feel better. He insisted that this act of revision literally goes back and alters the energetic nature of the past event, since the past only truly exists as a memory in your consciousness. By changing the memory, more importantly, the feeling associated with it, you are neutralizing its negative creative power and planting a new, positive seed that must now bear fruit in your future. You are healing a relationship without ever having another external conversation about the issue. You are healing it at the cause, which is within your own imagination. Neville's audio lectures are filled with powerful testimonials of this principle in action. One of the most famous is the story of a woman who had a very strained and fearful relationship with her boss. She felt he was constantly disapproving of her, and that her job was in jeopardy. Instead of confronting him or living in fear, she decided to practice revision every night before sleep. For several weeks, she created a short, simple imaginal scene. In the scene, her boss stood before her, smiled, and said, "You have done a wonderful job." She would conjure the feeling of sincerity in his voice. She would feel the thrill of relief and pride in herself. And she would loop this simple scene over and over again until it felt absolutely real, lulling herself to sleep with this feeling of being praised and secure. She did nothing in her external world to change his opinion, but within a few weeks, the outer world began to conform to her inner observation. One day, her boss called her into his office, and with a sincere smile, told her that she had done a wonderful job on a recent project. He used words that were almost identical to her imaginal script. The entire nature of their relationship was transformed from that day forward. Not because he changed, but because she changed her inner observation of him. She chose to observe the supportive version of her boss into existence. This is the power that is available to you in every relationship of your life. The people you interact with are mirrors, reflecting the assumptions and beliefs you hold about them, about yourself, and about the world. To change the reflection, you must be willing to turn away from the mirror and work on the image within, by consistently focusing on the best qualities in others. By refusing to replay old stories of hurt and disappointment, and by using the power of revision to cleanse your perceptions, you become the author and director of your relationships. You can transform them from battlegrounds of the ego into playgrounds of love, support, and mutual appreciation. You realize you can't change another person, but you don't need to, in changing yourself and your inner representation of them. Their reflection in your world changes automatically. This powerful process of changing our inner observation of others is not a magic trick to be performed once. It requires a new way of being, a moment-to-moment commitment to observing our inner world with the same intensity we usually reserve for the outer world. This requires us to cultivate a new and profound discipline of awareness, the ability to transform our relationships and our reality by changing our inner observation, is a testament to the power we hold. Yet, this is not a magic wand to be waved once, but rather a new and profound way of living. It is a practice that requires us to shift from being unconscious reactors to our world to being disciplined, conscious observers of our own minds. This is the fundamental skill of the master creator, the ongoing commitment to stand as a vigilant guardian at the gate of your inner world. This is the discipline of awareness. For most of our lives, we are completely identified with the stream of thoughts and emotions that flows through us. We don't see ourselves as the observer of the anger. We believe I am angry. We don't witness the thought of fear. We believe I am afraid. We are fused with our mental and emotional states, tossed about like a small boat on a stormy sea, completely at the mercy of every passing wave. The discipline of awareness begins with the practice of creating a space between you, the conscious observer, and the thoughts and feelings you are experiencing. This is the essence of mindfulness. It is the art of paying attention, on purpose, in the present moment, without judgment. The most crucial part of that definition is the phrase "without judgment." When a negative thought arises, our habit is to either believe it instantly or to resist it and judge ourselves for having it. Both actions give the thought more power. Mindfulness offers a third option. You simply notice the thought or feeling as it arises. As a neutral observer, imagine your consciousness is the vast, open, blue sky. Your thoughts and emotions are the clouds that drift through it. Some clouds are dark and stormy. Others are white and fluffy. But you are not the clouds. You are the sky. The clouds can never harm or stain the sky. They simply pass through. When a thought of fear appears, you can learn to say internally, "Ah, there is a thought of fear," without becoming the fear itself. In this space of non-judgmental observation, en miracle occurs, you create a gap between the external stimulus and your internal response. In that gap lies your freedom and your creative power. You are no longer a puppet of your automatic reactions. You are an empowered chooser, able to decide which thoughts to invest your belief in and which to simply allow to drift on by. To strengthen this muscle of conscious observation, one can undertake a powerful exercise popularized by many New Thought teachers: the mental diet. A physical diet involves controlling the food you put into your body. A mental diet involves controlling the thoughts you allow your mind to feed on. The challenge is this: for 7 consecutive days, you make a solemn commitment not to dwell on any negative or limiting thought. This does not mean negative thoughts will not arise. They certainly will. It means that the moment you become aware of one, you refuse to entertain it. You don't chew on it. You don't analyze its origins. You don't call a friend to complain about it. You simply notice it. And immediately, you replace it with a constructive, positive thought about the reality you choose to create. If the thought "I'll never be able to afford that" appears, you immediately replace it with "I am a magnet for prosperity, and abundance flows to me easily and effortlessly." This practice is a spiritual boot camp. It will be challenging, and you may have to restart your 7-day count many times. But the process itself is what builds the new mental discipline. It makes you acutely, sometimes uncomfortably, aware of the sheer volume of negative and habitual thinking that your mind produces on autopilot, and it forces you to take up your post as the master of your mental household. Another powerful aspect of this discipline is learning to ask better questions. Your mind is an infinitely powerful search engine, and it will always find an answer to the question you pose to it. The quality of your life, therefore, is often a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you habitually ask. A person operating from a victim consciousness will ask disempowering questions. Why does this always happen to me? Their mind will dutifully search its database and present a long list of reasons why they are unlucky and cursed. Why can't I ever catch a break? Their mind will pull up a detailed file of all their past failures and shortcomings. The conscious creator learns to ask empowering, transformational questions. When faced with a challenge, instead of asking "Why me?" they ask, "What is this situation trying to teach me?" The mind then begins to search for the lesson, the opportunity for growth. They ask, "What is the hidden gift in this adversity?" The mind begins to scan for the silver lining. They ask, "How can I use this to become stronger and wiser?" And the mind immediately begins to search for solutions and strategies. By simply changing the question, you change your entire point of observation from that of a passive victim to that of an active, learning creator. Ultimately, This entire discipline of awareness is about anchoring yourself in the only moment where life ever truly exists, the present moment. This is the core teaching of the great spiritual master Eckhart Tolle, whose monumental audiobook, The Power of Now, has guided millions back to this simple truth. Tolle explains that almost all human suffering is self-created, caused by being psychologically lost in time. We are either trapped in the past, replaying old regrets and resentments, or we are lost in the future, consumed by anxiety and worry about what might happen. But the past and future are not real. They exist only as thought forms in our mind. Here in the now, the practice Tolle teaches is to consistently pull your awareness out of the ceaseless stream of thinking and to anchor it firmly in the present. You can do this by bringing your attention to the feeling of your breath moving in and out, by feeling the life energy in your hands and feet, by listening intently to the sounds of your environment without labeling them. When you are rooted in the now, you realize that you are not your life story. You are not your thoughts. You are the silent, spacious, and peaceful awareness that is observing it all. This is the ultimate vantage point of the Creator. It is a state of deep inner peace that is not dependent on external conditions. From this place of stillness, you can observe the challenges of your life without being consumed by them. From this place of presence, you are most open to receiving the whispers of inspired action. It is the calm center of the storm, from which a new, more peaceful reality is born. The art of conscious creation is not a frantic, busy activity. It is a moment-to-moment discipline of awareness. It is about becoming the silent watcher of your mind, the conscious chooser of your focus, and the grounded anchor in the eternal present moment. By mastering our inner world with this gentle but firm discipline, we stop being tossed about by the chaotic waves of life, and we become the calm, deep ocean itself. As we cultivate this discipline of inner awareness, something remarkable begins to happen. Our focus shifts from the loud, distracting noise of the world to the subtle, meaningful whispers of the universe. We start to notice patterns, messages, and guidance that were always there, but which we were too distracted to see. We learn to read the language of the cosmos, the language of synchronicity. As we cultivate the quiet discipline of inner awareness, a remarkable and magical shift begins to occur. The frantic, distracting noise of the ego mind begins to subside, and in the newfound silence, we start to perceive a different kind of communication. It is a subtle, symbolic language spoken not in words, but in events. It is the language of the universe itself, providing constant feedback, encouragement, and guidance. This dialogue with the cosmos is not reserved for ancient mystics or enlightened masters. It is happening to you every single day. You only need to learn how to listen. This is the art of reading the signs, the practice of recognizing and interpreting the profound magic of synchronicity. The term synchronicity was coined by the legendary psychologist Carl Jung to describe a phenomenon he could not explain with mere statistics or random chance. He defined it as a meaningful coincidence, a moment when an event in the outer world aligns perfectly and meaningfully with a thought, feeling, or need in your inner world. It's when the boundary between the inner and outer seems to momentarily dissolve, revealing a hidden layer of intelligence and order operating just beneath the surface of reality. This is not the simple coincidence of two people wearing the same shirt. A true synchronicity has a distinct quality, a psychic charge, an unmistakable feeling of significance that makes the hair on your arms stand up. It is the universe winking at you, letting you know that you have been heard and that you are not alone on your journey. Once you begin to look for them, you realize these meaningful coincidences are everywhere. One of the most common is the experience of thinking of an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. only to have them call or text you moments later. Or perhaps you are grappling with a difficult problem, and you randomly open a book to a page that contains the exact insight you needed. You might be driving, feeling uncertain about a decision, and you pass a billboard with a message that seems to speak directly to your soul. Many people on a spiritual path begin to notice recurring number patterns, like seeing 1111, Lum by Arshar, or 444 on clocks, license plates, or receipts. These are like little digital hellos from the universe. Gentle nudges that simply say, you are aligned. You are awake and aware. Keep going. It is crucial to understand how to interpret these signs, as a misunderstanding can lead to superstition and confusion. Synchronicities are not a cosmic fortune-telling service. They are not designed to give you complex, detailed instructions about what to do next. It is far more helpful to see them as a feedback loop. They are confirmation, not direction. They are the universe's way of affirming the inner work you are already doing. When you have been diligently working to align yourself with a feeling of abundance, and then you find a $20 bill on the sidewalk, that is synchronistic feedback. The universe isn't just giving you $20. It is giving you tangible proof that your vibration is shifting, that you are becoming a match to unexpected gifts. It is saying, yes, this frequency is working. Keep holding it. The timing of synchronicities is also incredibly telling. They often appear not when you are struggling and striving, but when you are in a state of alignment, flow, and surrender. They are the reward for letting go, when you have finally released your anxious attachment to an outcome and have placed your trust in the process. The universe loves to send you a little sign to show you that your trust is well placed and that your desire is on its way. This feedback loop creates a beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle of faith. You do the inner work. The universe sends a confirming sign. Your faith is strengthened, which makes it easier to do the inner work, which invites even more synchronicity. The phenomenal best-selling audiobook The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield presents this entire concept as the very basis for humanity's next stage of spiritual evolution. The book is a fictional adventure, but its core message is a non-fiction guide to living a synchronicity-driven life. The characters in the story learn to move from one coincidental encounter to the next, following a trail of intuitive hits and meaningful events. They learn that each person they meet holds a piece of a puzzle for them, and each strange coincidence is a signpost directing them toward the next piece. They discover that life is not a random series of events, but a purposeful, unfolding mystery. And the key to navigating it is to pay attention to the subtle flow of energy and the meaningful coincidences that guide the way. The characters learn to ask themselves questions like, why did I happen to meet this specific person at this exact moment? What is the insight, the message that this encounter is meant to give me? This reframes every interaction, no matter how casual, as a potentially significant part of a larger, invisible plan. This is a powerful practice to adopt in your own life. Instead of dismissing strange coincidences as random, get curious about them. Ask, what was I just thinking about right before that happened? What is the feeling or the message this event might be trying to confirm for me? Your primary tool for interpretation should always be your own intuition. How did the sign make you feel? Did it bring a feeling of relief, of expansion, of joyful confirmation? Or did it feel like a gentle warning? A moment that made you pause and reconsider? The feeling is the message. The meaning of the synchronicity is not found in a dictionary or a guidebook. It is found in the resonance it creates within your own soul. As we become more disciplined in our awareness and more attuned to this subtle language, we begin to live with a newfound sense of trust and magic. We realize we are in a constant, loving dialogue with an intelligent, responsive universe. The world is no longer a cold, mechanical place, but a living, breathing field of consciousness that is actively conspiring in our favor. We see that the wall between our inner and outer worlds is far more permeable than we ever imagined. This growing trust, fortified by the tangible evidence of synchronicity, emboldens us to take the next, most audacious step in our creative journey. It gives us the courage to stop merely observing a future we hope for, and to begin the profound practice of living from a future that we know is already complete. This is the ultimate state of the conscious creator, the state known as living in the end, fortified by the evidence of synchronicity, that loving feedback loop from the universe. Our trust in the creative process begins to solidify. We move from a state of hopeful belief to a place of quiet knowing. This newfound faith gives us the courage to take the final, most audacious, and most powerful step on the path of the conscious creator. It is a step that moves us beyond asking, beyond attracting, and beyond even visualizing. It is the step into pure embodiment. This is the master technique. It's the graduation ceremony of creation, known by the great mystics as the art of living in the end. This principle, which is the absolute pinnacle of Neville Goddard's teachings, asserts that the most potent and direct way to manifest a desire is to stop trying to get it all together. Instead, you must consciously and deliberately occupy the state of your wish already being fulfilled. You no longer look for your desire in the future. You begin to live, think, feel, and act from the state of its present-day reality. You are no longer a person who wants to be wealthy. You are a person who is wealthy, and you begin to think and feel accordingly. You are no longer a person seeking love. You are a person who is profoundly loved, and you begin to move through the world with that inner security. It is the ultimate application of the observer effect. You are not observing a reality to bring it to you. You are observing the world from within that completed reality. To understand its power, we must grasp a fundamental law of consciousness. The universe does not manifest what you want. It manifests what you are. As long as your dominant state of being is one of wanting, you are in a state of lack. The very act of wanting something implies its absence. This feeling of absence is a powerful energetic broadcast. And the universe, in its perfect, impersonal way, will faithfully mirror this back to you by providing you with more experiences of wanting and not having. Living in the end short-circuits this entire frustrating cycle. It is an act of radical imagination and supreme faith. It is the decision to no longer allow your inner state to be dictated by the temporary evidence of your five senses, and to instead let it be dictated by the permanent truth of your fulfilled desire in your imagination. Visualization is a powerful tool, but it is often an act of looking at a future you desire. Like studying a travel brochure for a beautiful destination, living in the end is the act of putting the brochure down, closing your eyes, and feeling the warm sun of that destination on your skin, hearing its sounds, and walking its streets as if you are already there. It is not a 10-minute exercise. It is a new psychological home that you move into. So how does one practically apply this? It begins with asking yourself a pivotal and life-changing question. How would I be thinking and feeling right now if my greatest desire were already a fact? Take a moment to truly contemplate this. If you were already living in your dream home, how would you feel as you unlock the door at the end of the day? You wouldn't feel longing. You would feel a quiet, comfortable sense of belonging. You would feel peace. If you were already in a secure, loving, and passionate partnership, how would you think about your partner during the day? You would think of them with warmth, with appreciation, with a smile. If you were already the head of a thriving, successful company, how would you walk into a meeting? You would walk in with an air of calm confidence and creative authority. The practice of living in the end is the practice of consciously cultivating and embodying these states now, before your senses give you any permission to do so. It is about an internal role play so complete that it becomes your new nature. When a bill arrives in the mail, you don't react with the old panic of how will I pay this? You pause, and you ask, how would the wealthy version of me react? They would see it as a simple, neutral transaction, confident in the knowledge that the resources are there. So you consciously adopt that feeling of calm assurance when you are home alone on a weekend night. You don't fall into the old pattern of loneliness and despair. You ask, how would the me who is cherished and adored feel right now? They would likely feel peaceful, enjoying their own company, secure in the knowledge of their beloved's affection. So you cultivate that feeling of peaceful self-sufficiency. You begin to change your inner conversations, your assumptions, and your emotional posture to match the person who already has what you desire. You are, in effect, faking it until you make it. But on a profound, energetic level, you are claiming what is already yours, in the only reality that truly matters, the reality of your imagination. And you are holding that state until the world of shadows, the physical world, has no choice but to conform. Imagine an aspiring artist, full of talent but struggling with doubt and obscurity. They spend their days waiting to be discovered, waiting for a gallery to give them a show, waiting for the world to give them permission to be successful. Frustrated, they decide to try this principle. They decide to stop trying to be an artist and to start being one. The shift is internal, but it is total. When people ask what they do for a living, they no longer mumble, well, I paint a little. I'm hoping to make it someday. They look them in the eye and say with quiet, unshakable confidence, I am an artist. They stop waiting for a commission to start working. Instead, they enter their studio every morning with the discipline and focus of a master preparing for a major solo exhibition. They are not just doodling, they are creating their great work. They walk through art museums, not with the envy of an outsider, but with the studious eye of a peer, analyzing the work of their colleagues, and most importantly, throughout their day, they cultivate the inner feeling of pride, creative fulfillment, and success that they once believed could only come after they had sold their paintings. What happens next? This profound internal shift in identity, from aspiring artist to artist, changes their entire energetic signature. They are no longer broadcasting a frequency of neediness and waiting. They are broadcasting a frequency of confidence, mastery, and success. And so, the universe begins to mirror this new state. A friend of a friend who happens to own a gallery coincidentally asks to visit their studio. A local art critic happens to see a piece of their work online. A buyer happens to be looking for exactly their style. The external world, which had been deaf to their pleas, now responds with resounding enthusiasm to their quiet declaration of being. The opportunities they chased for so long now come seeking them, because they finally became a vibrational match to the success they desired. This is the ultimate secret of creation. It is to fall so in love with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to make it such a familiar and natural inner state that you would rather have the feeling than the thing itself. And in that moment, the thing must appear. You stop being a seeker, pleading with an external universe for a future reward. You become a beacon, a sun, embodying the reality of your choice in the eternal now, and allowing the physical world, in its own time, to rearrange itself around the undeniable truth of your new state of being. As we begin to practice this profound state, particularly in relation to our desires for success and security, we start to realize something fundamental. we see that what we call prosperity or wealth is not actually about the amount of money in our bank account. It is not an external thing at all. It is an internal state of consciousness, a lens through which we choose to observe the world, having embraced the ultimate creative stance of living in the end. We begin to understand that our state of being is the cause of all that we experience. We are not attracting what we want. We are creating what we are. Now, let us apply this profound understanding to one of the most charged and misunderstood areas of human life, the creation of wealth and abundance. We are about to discover that prosperity is not a thing you chase or acquire. It is not the number in your bank account or the list of your assets. Prosperity is an inside job. It is a state of consciousness, a lens through which you choose to observe the world, a reality you tune yourself to by the way you think and feel. The journey to financial freedom begins with a radical redefinition of wealth itself. Our culture has programmed us to equate wealth exclusively with money. This is an incredibly narrow and limiting belief, and it is the foundation of scarcity consciousness. True wealth, true abundance, is a spectrum of riches that permeates every aspect of our lives. Your vibrant health is wealth. The time you have to spend with loved ones is wealth. The love and support in your relationships is wealth. The constant stream of creative ideas that flow through your mind is wealth. The beauty of a sunset, the taste of a delicious meal, the existence of art and music, this is all the infinite abundance of the universe on display. The first step in becoming a prosperous observer is to consciously broaden your definition of wealth and to begin taking inventory of the immense riches you already possess. When you start to see yourself as already wealthy in time, love, health, and ideas, you begin to shift your core vibration from one of lack to one of abundance. This leads us to the two fundamental lenses through which all of reality can be viewed: the lens of scarcity and the lens of abundance. The scarcity mindset, which is the default programming for most of our society, is a lens that constantly focuses on what is missing. It sees life as a zero-sum game with limited resources and fierce competition. It looks at a bill and feels the fear of loss. It sees a price tag and feels the pang of, "I can't afford that." It looks at the success of another person and feels the sting of envy, believing that their gain must somehow be your loss. This scarcity lens keeps you in a perpetual state of energetic contraction, of fear, of not enough. And as long as you are observing the world through the filter of not enough, you can only create more experiences that validate that feeling. The prosperity consciousness is a deliberate and disciplined choice to look at the same world through a different lens. It is the lens of abundance. This consciousness actively and intentionally looks for evidence of surplus, flow, and opportunity. It sees the same bill not as a loss, but as evidence of a service, received electricity that powered your home, the food that nourished your body, and it feels gratitude for both the service and the ability to participate in the circulation of energy. When encountering a desirable object with a high price, instead of saying, "I can't afford that," which is a statement of lack, the abundance mindset says, "I am choosing not to invest in that right now," or "I am in the process of attracting the resources for that." It reframes the experience from one of limitation to one of choice and potential. Most importantly, when it sees the success of others, it feels not envy, but genuine inspiration. It sees their success as proof of what is possible, as a clear sign that the universe is abundant and that there is more than enough for everyone. This state of being, this observation of plenty, tunes your entire energetic system to the frequency of wealth. So how do we cultivate this way of seeing? It is a practice. It is about deliberately training your mind to spot abundance. Make it a game. As you go about your day, actively hunt for evidence of prosperity. Look at the sheer volume and variety of food piled high in a grocery store, a testament to the planet's incredible bounty. Consider the miracle of the internet. an almost infinite, instantly accessible library of information and ideas. Observe the intricate engineering of a bridge, the sheer number of cars on the road, the endless display of clothing and goods in a shopping mall. You are surrounded, inundated, by staggering evidence of creation and abundance. The only reason you don't feel it is because your attention has been trained to focus on the one or two things you perceive as lacking. By consciously redirecting your focus, you are retraining your brain. You are changing your observation, and you are beginning to align with the truth of an abundant universe. One of the most powerful practices for cementing this consciousness is to change your relationship with the act of giving. Scarcity consciousness fears giving. It hoards resources, believing that what goes out will not come back. Abundance consciousness understands a fundamental law of energy. It must circulate. Energy that is hoarded becomes stagnant and dies. Energy that is allowed to flow freely expands and returns to you multiplied. Giving, therefore, is one of the most powerful affirmations of abundance you can make. When you give freely and joyfully, whether it is a generous tip to a waiter, a donation to a cause you believe in, a genuine and heartfelt compliment to a stranger, or the gift of your focused, loving attention to another person, you are making a loud and clear declaration to the universe. That declaration is, I have more than enough. I live in a state of surplus. I am so secure in my own abundance that I can freely share it with others. This act shatters the illusion of lack. You cannot simultaneously feel scarcity and the joy of generous giving. The act of giving aligns you instantly with the frequency of plenty. This principle is wonderfully demonstrated in the playful yet profound experiments laid out by author Pam Grout in her popular audiobook, E². She challenges her readers to test these spiritual principles for themselves. In one experiment, she gives the reader a 48-hour challenge to prove that the universe is abundant and attentive. The instruction is to set a clear intention to receive an unexpected gift or blessing within that time frame, and then to simply go about your life in a state of joyful expectation, actively looking for evidence. The results people report are often small, but undeniably magical. They find money on the street. A stranger buys them a coffee. They get an unexpected discount on a purchase. They receive a heartfelt letter from an old friend. The point of the experiment is not the material gift itself, but the undeniable proof it provides that when you consciously shift your observation from one of waiting and wanting to one of joyful expecting, the universe responds. It proves that you have the power to tune yourself to the frequency of unexpected blessings. Ultimately, prosperity is not something you earn through struggle or chase through effort. It is a reality you align with through observation. It is a decision to stop focusing on the empty spaces in your life and to start passionately appreciating the fullness that is already there. By redefining wealth, by consciously choosing the lens of abundance over the lens of scarcity, and by embracing the joyful circulation of energy through giving, you are not just hoping for a more prosperous life. You are living in the end of that prosperity. Here and now, you are observing your world through the eyes of a wealthy person. And the mirror of reality has no choice but to reflect that prosperous image back to you. As we apply this conscious observation to our finances, our health, and our relationships, we begin to see that all of life is a grand, unfolding response. We realize that reality is not a static stage we are acting upon, but a living, breathing dialogue with our own consciousness. We have journeyed through the landscapes of our inner world, learning to apply the principles of conscious creation to our finances, our health, and our relationships. As we consistently wield these powerful tools, observing our world into being through the lens of gratitude, trust, and abundance, a final, profound shift in perception begins to dawn. We start to see that life is not a series of disconnected events or problems to be solved. we awaken to the extraordinary truth that reality itself is a single, unified, and intelligent field that is in a constant, loving dialogue with our own consciousness. This is the great unfolding, the recognition of life as a perfect, moment-to-moment response to the state of our own being. For most of our lives, we operate under the illusion that life is something that happens to us. We see it as a linear path fraught with obstacles, a series of challenges and problems that must be overcome, endured, or solved through struggle and effort. From this perspective, an unexpected bill, a conflict with a loved one, or a health issue feels like an attack from an external world, a random, unfortunate event that disrupts our peace. But the conscious creator comes to understand that this is a profound misunderstanding of the game. Life is not a series of problems being sent at you. Life is a flawless mirror, reflecting back to you the problems that exist as unresolved frequencies within you. The world is not the cause. It is the effect. The world is the echo of the sound you are making. Every single event that unfolds in your experience, without exception, is a message. It is a piece of energetic feedback, custom designed by the universe to show you the state of your own vibration. The events we label as good, the synchronistic encounters, the unexpected opportunities, the moments of grace and flow are messages of confirmation. They are the universe saying, yes, keep going. The frequency you are holding right now is in perfect alignment with your highest good. You are in tune. These are the easy messages to love. But the true mastery comes in learning to love the challenging messages as well. The events we label as bad, the financial setback, the difficult diagnosis, the painful argument are not punishments. They are benevolent. If sometimes loud, alarms, they are the universe lovingly saying, attention, there is a belief you are holding, a resistance you are clinging to, a shadow you are projecting, that is creating this discordant experience. I am showing you this physical reflection so that you can go within and heal the energetic cause. This single shift in perspective changes everything. It moves us definitively from a state of victimhood to a state of ultimate empowerment, as it requires us to take 100% responsibility for our experience. This is perhaps the most challenging and liberating step of all. Taking responsibility is not the same as taking on blame or fault. It is not about judging yourself for creating a negative situation. Blame is an energy of the ego that keeps you trapped in guilt and powerlessness. Responsibility is an energy of the soul that reclaims your creative authority. It is the calm, powerful acknowledgement that says, if my state of consciousness has participated in the creation of this experience, then I have the power to change my state of consciousness and create a different experience. The victim says, why is this happening to me? The creator asks, what within me is this experience? Reflecting this journey from unconscious victim to conscious creator can be illustrated by a final, powerful story. Imagine an artist in a studio, given a magnificent canvas and a brush. Unbeknownst to him, the brush is magic. Whatever he paints on the canvas instantly manifests in the room around him. At first, he is unaware of this power. He is a moody and reactive painter. When he feels angry, he unconsciously paints a dark and violent storm, and is then terrified when thunder and lightning fill his studio. When he feels lonely, he absent-mindedly paints a solitary planks, weeping figure in a barren landscape, and is then plunged into deeper despair by the profound silence and emptiness that surrounds him. For a long time, he lives this way, a victim of his own creations, believing he is at the mercy of a chaotic and unpredictable world. Then, one day, in a moment of fleeting joy, he paints a small, beautiful bird on a branch. Instantly, the sound of melodious birdsong fills the room. A flicker of awareness dawns. He tentatively paints a single, perfect rose, and the scent of fresh roses wafts through the air. This is his awakening. He begins to suspect the power he holds. He starts to experiment, moving from an unconscious creator to a deliberate one. He consciously chooses to paint scenes of beauty, harmony, and abundance. He paints a table laden with a feast, and it appears. He paints bags of gold, and they materialize. He has learned the rules of the game. He has learned that his inner world of the canvas directly creates his outer world of the studio. For a time, he is enthralled with this, using his power to accumulate things, believing that the things will bring him lasting happiness. But as he matures as an artist and as a soul, a final, deeper realization unfolds. He recognizes that the temporary thrill of manifesting another object is fleeting. He discovers that the deepest, most profound, and most enduring joy comes not from the created thing, but from the very act of creation itself. His focus shifts. He no longer paints to get something. He paints to express the love, the beauty, and the infinite potential that he feels bubbling up from within his own being. He paints not from a place of lack, but from a place of fullness. His brushstrokes become a dance of joy, his colors a symphony of gratitude. He is no longer trying to control his reality. He is simply, joyfully, participating in its unfolding. He is creating for the sheer love of it, and in doing so, the masterpiece of his life, a reality far more beautiful and magnificent than anything his ego could have ever conceived, effortlessly appears all around him. We are all this artist. The canvas is the quantum field, and the magic brush is our own consciousness. Life is not a series of problems we must solve. It is a blank canvas, inviting us to paint. Every circumstance is a reflection of a previous brushstroke, offering us feedback on our technique. By taking full and loving responsibility for the images we have created, we reclaim the brush from our unconscious habits and begin to paint with purpose, with joy, and with love. We realize the goal is not just to paint a pretty picture, but to fall in love with the process of painting. The great unfolding of reality is this beautiful, responsive dance between the painter and the canvas. As we become one with this creative flow, we approach the final realization of our journey. The painter is not separate from the painting. The observer is not separate from the observed. This leads us to the ultimate state, the embodiment of the creator. We have walked the path of the artist, learning to consciously wield the magic brush of our attention, transforming the canvas of our lives from a chaotic mess into a deliberate masterpiece. We have realized that the world is a flawless mirror, a perfect and loving response to our inner state. We have reached the pinnacle of understanding how to create our reality, but at this peak, a final, breathtaking vista opens up before us. It is the realization that dissolves the entire paradigm we have been working with. It is the ultimate truth that the artist is not separate from the canvas. The observer is not separate from the observed. The creator is not separate from the creation. The final step is to realize that the separation between you and the universe was the grandest illusion of all. For this entire journey, we have spoken of the law of attraction and other spiritual principles as tools, as powerful techniques to be used by you to effect change on the universe. We saw ourselves as the operator, and the universe as the grand machine we were learning to control. This is a necessary and empowering stage of development. It is the stage where we reclaim our power from a sense of victimhood and learn the mechanics of cause and effect. But it is not the final stage. To remain here is to remain in a state of subtle duality, to still see yourself as a small entity trying to influence a vast, external power. The final awakening comes when we cease to see these laws as tools to get what we want, and we begin to understand them as a loving, cosmic breadcrumb trail, leading us back to the discovery of what we truly are, the desire for a better car, a more loving relationship, a healthier body. These are not just egoic whims. They are the universe inviting you to play, whispering to you, see what you can do, see this power you have. Now, follow that power all the way back to its source. And what is that source? It is the silent, timeless, formless awareness that is looking out through your eyes at this very moment. It is the consciousness that was there before your first thought and will be there after your last. It is the space in which all your feelings and experiences arise and pass away. The mystics have called this by many names, but the most direct and powerful is the simple declaration, I am. We have used this as an affirmation, I am wealthy, I am healthy, but its true power lies not in what comes after it, but in the profound recognition of the I am itself. It is the awareness of pure being, prior to all labels, conditions, and forms. This I am is not your consciousness. It is consciousness. It is the singular consciousness of the entire universe, looking out through billions of pairs of eyes, experiencing its own creation in an infinite variety of forms. You are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a single drop. When this realization dawns, the entire creative process is turned on its head. You no longer create from a place of lack, trying to fill a hole in your life. You begin to create from a place of absolute fullness. Creation ceases to be a means to an end, and it becomes the joyful, ecstatic, and natural overflow of your own being. You don't create wealth to feel secure. You feel so secure in the infinite abundance of your own being that wealth becomes its natural, effortless reflection. You don't seek love to feel whole. You feel so completely whole within your I am nature that radiant love becomes the only reality you can experience. The desperate, needy energy of I want is replaced by the calm, powerful, creative energy of I am. Life is no longer about the struggle to manifest specific things. The things become secondary. The beautiful and often surprising byproducts of your true work, which is simply to be. The joy is no longer in getting the prize, but in the delightful game of observing realities into being. You might choose to observe a beautiful flower into existence simply for the delight of watching the petals unfold. You might choose to observe a solution to a global problem, simply for the love of seeing humanity thrive. You become a true artist, creating for the sheer love of the creative act itself, because you have realized that you are, in your essence, pure, unbridled creative energy. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being, the universe itself, having a temperate, wonderful, and creative human experience. This is the embodiment of the Creator. It is the understanding that you are not in the universe. The universe is in you. The entire cosmos, with all its galaxies, stars, and infinite potentials, exists within your own boundless consciousness. Your imagination is not just a faculty of your mind. It is the very womb of reality itself, the studio where God paints. The great Sufi poet Rumi spoke this ultimate truth in words that echo through the centuries. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. You are not the struggling artist learning to use the magic brush. You are the magic in the brush. You are the intelligence that guides it. You are the canvas upon which it paints. And you are the magnificent, ever-changing masterpiece that appears. The journey we have taken through these 20 stages has not been a journey outward to learn new tricks, but a journey inward to remember an ancient truth. We began by looking at a strange scientific experiment, and we have ended by looking into the very face of God, which we now recognize as our own. We have arrived at the summit of our understanding, a place of profound peace and limitless power. From this sacred vantage point, the journey of life begins anew, no longer as a struggle to survive, but as a magnificent opportunity to create, to love, and to express the infinite, ecstatic universe that you are. We began this journey together at the strange and wonderful frontier where science meets spirit. With a single, startling observation from the world of quantum physics, the act of watching changes what is being watched. From that simple, profound seed, we have traveled through the vast inner landscapes of our own consciousness. We explored the invisible blueprints of our beliefs, the creative currency of our thoughts, and the magnetic fuel of our emotions. We learned to step into the studio of our imagination, to rehearse a new reality through visualization, and to anchor it into the world with the power of our words. We faced the shadow, embraced the magic of gratitude, and awakened to the truth of our profound interconnection with all of life. We followed the cosmic breadcrumbs of synchronicity, and finally, we arrived at the ultimate realization that we are not just a small part of the universe. We are the universe in its entirety, experiencing itself. The core message of this entire journey is this: your life is not a script that has been handed to you to read. It is a magnificent, living canvas. And your consciousness, your awareness, is the magic brush. The world you experience is not a fixed, objective reality. It is a flawless mirror, reflecting with perfect accuracy the state of your inner being. It is not happening to you. It is responding through you and as you. Therefore, the great work of your life is not to struggle with the reflection in the mirror, but to turn inward and become the author of the image being reflected. Peace, love, joy, and abundance are not destinations to be reached or possessions to be acquired in the outer world. They are the colors on your palette, the states of being you must first cultivate within, so that you may then paint them onto the canvas of your experience. And so now, at the end of this exploration, you are left with a choice. It is the only choice that has ever truly mattered. Will you continue to live as a passive spectator, an unconscious artist, allowing old programs and conditioned beliefs to paint your reality for you? Or will you accept the truth of your own magnificent power? Will you take up your brush with intention, with courage, and with love? The universe is not outside of you, waiting to judge or reward you. It is inside of you, waiting to be expressed through you. You are the observer. You are the creator. Now, go and watch your world into being.